Hope you guys are doing well. Welcome to Pillow Talk with Dr. Boyce and Dr. Alicia Watkins. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins, and I'm here with my lovely wife, Dr. Alicia. How you doing today, babe?
I'm doing all right, but I wish we were like on our pillows for real.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
know, I know. Yeah, sometimes we do pillow talk and we're not actually on our pillows, and so I don't know if I don't know if you call it table talk now or something, but this is us in our offices, and it's funny because we're actually in rooms right next to each other. So
This is
uh,
office
yeah, I guess it's office talk, water cooler talk. Maybe that's what we can call it.
water cooler talk. Yeah. And we
Yeah,
have a water
yeah.
cooler. We should just sit our chairs out there in the water cooler and
We
just
do have a water
drink
cooler.
water
We
and
legitimately do, and we drink a ton of water every day. And when we get up in the morning, first thing I do when I get up is start drinking water. But anyway, all right. So I want to welcome everybody and say hello to everyone that's joining us today. In case you don't know, Pillow Talk with Dr. Boyce and Dr. Alicia Watkins is where I get together with my lovely wife, Dr. Alicia, and we talk about issues of the day. Just we try to have intelligent, fun conversations about things that Black people might be interested in. And I want to do a quick sound check. Can you let us know if you can hear us? Give us a quick yes if you can hear us. Okay, yes. Let us know if you can hear us. And also, I want you all to know that I am a finance PhD and a finance professor. My wife is a professor of social work and a licensed therapist. So we have some fun little debates about topics, things that relate to love and money, and just anything that makes us think. And so I want to say hello to Vita and let's see, Alleluia. Is that right? Big Bird. My name is Corey. How you doing, brother? Good to see you. NA. Let's see, Chanel Shakur, Michael McCurry. Good to see everybody. So good to see you. All right, so let's hop into the conversation as you hit the thumbs up button. Thumbs up, share, subscribe, all that stuff. All right, so Michael Frederick says, think and go rich. That's right, brother. You got to think and you got to grow rich. All right, so here is what I wanted to talk about. So did anybody see, give me a yes or no, did you see that Kamala Harris invited the cast from a different world to the White House? I'm going to ask my wife, did you see that, babe?
I saw it a few months ago. I think it's a good idea. That was a very good idea.
It wasn't a few months ago, though. It was like a few days ago.
A few days ago?
Yeah,
I saw it on my social media. Maybe they were promoting the idea and it actually happened a few days ago, but I remember seeing things online about them coming to the White House a while ago.
Yeah. It was so Kamala brought the cast of A Different World to the White House, and they had they had a little powwow, I guess, and I think that it was related to the student loan stuff. I think that it was the student loan discussion that kind of led them to bring them in because, as you know, the Biden administration is talking a lot about student loans and student loan forgiveness. So they thought that bringing in the cast of A Different World would be kind of a cool way to celebrate that. And I'm gonna tell you, I love the cast from A Different World.
Yeah.
And I know you do too. I mean, how many of y'all, give me a yes or no, how many of y'all watched A Different World when you were growing up? Give me a yes. All the Different World fans, give me a yes in the chat if you grew up with that show and really liked it and enjoyed watching it and just had a lot of fun with it. I know I did. Were you inspired by that show, babe?
Didn't miss an episode. Oh my goodness, I was in college. Weren't you in college too when The Different World was on? So that, that was a beautiful thing to see and to witness. Shout out to Bill Cosby for making this happen.
Yeah, and you and I are friends with Daryl Bell. It's not Daryl Bell. Daryl
Bell. That's his name.
You know what? The reason I did not Daryl Bell, by the way, Daryl Bell played Ron. He played Ron, Dwayne Wayne's best friend. And I'm sorry, Daryl, if you're watching, brother. I apologize for getting your name wrong. The reason I felt like I said his name wrong is because there was a great attorney at Harvard Law School named Derek Bell. Derek Bell, the creator of critical race theory, actually.
Oh yes,
yes.
I use all of his stuff in my diversity practice class. Oh yes.
Did I ever tell you I talked to Derek Bell one time when I was teaching at Syracuse?
Really? I would love to speak with him.
Yeah, I have no idea why we were on the phone together, but we talked and I liked him. And that's all. At that time, I didn't know how big critical race theory was. I just knew he was a Harvard professor and I respected that. And another great one there was Charles Ogletree. Charles and we both spoke at the National Black Law Student Association Conference. We were the two keynotes, and it was in Detroit in 2006, right before Kwame Kilpatrick got popped up and.
This is so crazy. 2006. Yeah, I hung out with Kwame Kilpatrick at the FAMU homecoming because I was living in Tallahassee at the time. Small world, so Boyce. Isn't it a small world?
Well, it's not a small world. It's a different world.
It's a different world.
It's a different world. Anyway, all right. I know my parents. Every time I think of this, I want to start singing that song. I know my parents love me. Stand behind me, come one day. Ooh, that was a great song, and you hear it. It's almost like that song from the Jeffersons. Remember? Nobody knew the words, but it's like, did do down in the kitchen, a being down burned on the grill. Take that whole. I think black people. I'm gonna tell you. Here's what I think. I think black people. We're gonna get to the top in a minute, but I
We
feel like
make TV better.
we make the best theme songs. Good times anytime you need a payment. Good times anytime you need a friend. Like I feel like we are just like every song that has been made for TV shows. When we sing it, we blow it out. When they do it, you get like I don't know. Well, the best white song theme song I've ever heard was "Wouldn't You Like to Get Away? Sometimes you
Cheers.
want to go where everybody knows your name." That was a good one. And
I like
but then,
Family Ties. Family Ties. That's a black person singing Family Ties.
oh yeah, what was that? You got to help me know the words now.
What, Family Ties?
Yes. It was something
Mm-hmm.
about family, and it made you feel really good. And then the only other song, and then I promise we're gonna get back to the topic.
Okay.
And the only other song that I thought was cool was Frasier when he was sounding like a black man. Baby, I hear the music calling, toast salads and scrambled eggs. Anyway,
And
so
the Golden Girls, you can't forget the Golden
Mm.
Girls. Thank
Okay,
you
there we
for
go.
being a friend.
That's okay. So they do have a few good songs. All right, I think we're the best ones. But anyway, so here's what. So let's get back to all right. So different world. They visit Kamala Harris in the White House, and it was interesting because I was really curious to see how people felt about this visit because you know how the Democrats do. They tend to show up and get extra black when it's election season, and they sort of disappear when for the other 3.6 years. But the last few months they pop up and they start doing all this black stuff, and I think black people kind of know what's going on. They kind of hip to the game. So I went to Kamala's page, and so Kamala has the video, and it's really it's real. Let me turn this off because if I play the theme song, they'll give me a strike on YouTube. But anyway, so the interesting thing was a lot of the comments were very negative. A lot of the comments were very. I mean, people were not generally very. They were just generally not very supportive of what happened here. Like not because they don't love the cast of Different World. I think they seemed to feel manipulated.
Oh, the timing of it all. I mean, they got to pull out all the stops now. This is some serious stuff.
Yeah, almost like one of those things where it's like, okay, here you go, doing what you do in every election, where you get extra black, and then after the election's over, we don't hear from you again.
Ignore
yeah. Yeah, and I'm looking for the comments. I actually lost the freaking page. I had it up on my phone, queued up, and I want to read some of the comments. And once I find it, I'll read them. But
on
generally
Instagram, right?
Yeah. So what basically happened was, so Kamala had them all in, and it was pretty beautiful in the sense that you love the cast, you love the show, they deserve to be invited. They all seem to be very very nice people, and people were very supportive of the cast. But I think that they felt that Kamala was sort of using this HBCU thing to pander to the black vote. And Kamala actually went to an HBCU, and people still almost act like she's faking it, right? Because she married Dougie. Dougie's not a black man, and also Kamala, unfortunately, the Democrats have a reputation of really pandering to the black community right before election season. What do you think about that, babe?
Oh yeah, I mean, come on, Different World casts have been unemployed. Well, some of them have been employed, but a lot of them have been unemployed for many years. And now that it's a couple of months here before pretty soon we got the DNC convention, and then we have the election coming up. And I think this whole thing with Trump is scaring people because he has a lot of attention, and so they're pulling out all the stops. And I'm sure it's a strategy meeting. They're sitting around at this table trying to get black people on board. And we have snuffed it out. And I want to hear
Yeah,
the comments. Bring the comments up, boys.
yeah. Well, you know what's interesting is I'm looking at the page, and basically what she did was they first they just bought the cast in and kind of did their thing, and then a lot of the comments were very much basically accusing them of pandering to the black community and kind of saying, "Oh, you want to be black now," that kind of thing, and really kind of accusing them of manipulating black people emotionally, which I think that we are really we're really vulnerable to a lot of emotional manipulation. I think that the show Different World, it's interesting that we're so emotionally attached to things that don't even belong to us. A Different
Yeah.
World, even the show, the brands, the characters, all those trademarks and copyrights connected to that show belong to, I think, Warner Brothers.
Mm-hmm.
And so the idea that we sort of look at that show and we say, okay, that's a black show or that's our show, that right there kind of speaks to this odd idea that maybe perhaps we have to really rethink what ownership really means. Like, how do you really claim something that isn't actually yours? You know, it's like if I date you or marry you and I think that your body is my body and I own you, that's not a healthy way to think about it, I guess. And I almost feel like it's the same way when it comes to television. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, when we were talking to Daryl Bell, the first question out of our mouth was what? Where's the Different World reboot? What's
Yeah.
going on with the reboot? No, they're going to do a reboot of Good Times where they're living in the projects. They're going to
Good
glorify
times,
that whole thing.
anytime you need a payment. Sorry, they like those black struggle shows, don't they?
The struggle shows, but they're not going to do something like, and then you can't reboot. You can't reboot the Cosby Show because it's so tainted at this point. So I
You
mean,
know what?
Different World was
It
the
ain't tainted. It ain't tainted for me.
well, it's tainted for a lot of people though. A lot of people do
Yeah,
have
it ain't
issues
tainted for me
with Bill
because you know
Cosby.
what?
Mhm.
Maybe Bill Cosby did some stuff. Maybe he didn't. But
But
y'all
his
got to
legacy
remember
is old. His legacy, sorry, boys. I'm not
his
saying I
his
agree with
legacy.
it.
Yes. Oh, go ahead, babe. I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm not saying that I agree with it, but his legacy, I mean, he was on the top. He was the best of the best, and now he is on the bottom of the bottom. I think he is, poor thing. He's blind. He's really getting up there in years. Looks like his health is failing him, and I wish him the best, but it does not seem like he is able to save his legacy. And, Different World, maybe visiting the White House, maybe they can get their own reboot. Maybe they can take this as an opportunity to really put some positive images out there of Black people. Maybe we as Black people can start a campaign. Let's do a reboot of A Different World. That would be pretty awesome to see, because we know the effect that it has on your subconscious. I mean, when The Different World was happening, enrollment of Black people at HBCUs and in college in general was the highest it had ever been with that one TV show. It works, boys. Media works. It definitely programs you.
Well, what's interesting is that the comments that I saw relative to Kamala, sort of showing off the cast of A Different World to get votes, there were people in there that went out of their way to say, by the way, we should thank Dr. Cosby and Dr. Alvin Poussaint for creating the show.
And Dr.
And
Comer.
more than one person said that. More than one person stepped into the comments, and most of the comments were very negative toward the use of this imagery. It's like okay, you want to use Cosby's creation to get these votes, but then at the same time, you've kind of taken this guy that maybe he earned some of this. I'm not going to excuse his his alleged behavior, but you're going to sort of say we don't want anything to do with him, but we're going to take what he created and use that. And I personally think that's a little bit disingenuous. I think it's I think that you can still enjoy the Cosby Show. In fact, let me ask everybody, give me a yes or no. How many of you still watch the Cosby Show and enjoy watching it? Like if you saw it on TV right now, how many of you would give me a yes if you would watch it and enjoy it? Or how many of you would just turn it off because you're so appalled by his presence on television? Answer me in the chat. Also, as you hit the thumbs up button, I want to remind everybody you're watching Pillow Talk with Dr. Boyce and Dr. Alicia Watkins. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. This is my wife, Dr. Alicia. And by the way, if you want to know where my wife does her thing, you can actually go to her website, which she sees clients on an individual basis, couples and families. So you can go to coachingwithdralicia.com. That's coachingwithdralicia.com. Okay. So yeah, I see my name is Corey says I still watch it unapologetically. Ryan Turner says yes. Terry Silver, yes. I'm looking for a no. I don't see any no's. There's no no's. So what's interesting is when you talk about Cosby's legacy, I think about that and what that means. I'm going to say something that is going to sound a little strange. I don't think his legacy is ruined at all. I think that his legacy in the black community, his legacy is very strong. Now, mind you, people might still think that he's a pervert, that he did some stuff he shouldn't have done. But most black people, if I did a poll and said, do you still admire some of Bill Cosby's achievements? A lot of black people are going to say, hell yeah. You know, he created a different world. He created educational shows. He created Fat Albert. He gave all that money to the HBCUs. He gave money to HBCUs when all these celebrities out here just talk a big game and don't ever follow through. They don't. And so I'm not saying that this means Cosby's a good guy. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying that it sounds to me like just like any other person that we consider to be a hero or a legend, just like every slave master who raped slaves for a living, or just like every racist that's been in the White House, maybe his legacy's just mixed. Maybe that's what it may. Again, maybe among white people now, his legacy's gone. But I personally think that's a fragile legacy to begin with. I think that if you are a black man and you have a good reputation amongst melanin deficient people in America, you're always at risk. You're always in danger. You're one bad Rolling Stone, New York Times article away from having everything you work for destroyed in front of you. So I personally think, based on what I just saw in the chat, to the people that matter to me, y'all matter to me. They don't matter to me, but the people that matter to me still love Cosby. They love Different World. They see nuance. What do you think about that?
Okay, so I got two things to say. Number one, I think everybody out here needs to sit down with your family right now, starting today, and start watching every single episode of The Cosby Show, starting from episode 1 all the way to the final episode. And then when you're done, go on to The Different World and start watching that together as a family, because it is priceless piece of art. Okay, I just want to say that. Now, yes, we know the contributions that Bill Cosby has made to television and to Black people in general, but we also know that he fell flat on his face. He went to prison. Seemed like any and everybody who was around him in that time started hollering and got on the bandwagon. I'm talking about subconsciously. We saw him fall, and his legacy in general, his legacy in general has been tarnished. He fell from grace. He was voted, I believe at the time, he was voted the #1 TV dad from what was it called? TV Guide voted him. That means he beat out all the other white fathers that we saw on TV. He beat all of them out. He was the #1 TV dad. He cut across everything. And I think with Bill Cosby, I think he knew the impact of his work. He knew the impact of the Cosby Show, and he was a little upset with what happened after the Cosby Show, because remember, the Cosby Show was like a seminal piece where we can say, look, Black people can name their children Theodore, what was his middle name? Theodore. I mean, come on. That's so, it's a little elitist in a way, right? To have a doctor and a lawyer and to show all of that. He thought that the rest of the Black TV shows would follow suit, and it did not. You know, what happened after the Cosby Show met its success, the subsequent shows behind it was, you know, back on a little bit of buffoonery again. And I think Cosby became very upset with what Black people were doing. And he felt that we needed to carry ourselves a certain way. So it was this inner battle. And I think, you know, that made him, he became a little cynical when you listen to his speech. And then he gave that speech. Do we want to talk about that speech he gave? The famous speech. The pound, what's it called? The pound cake speech? Come on.
Yeah.
The
Well,
pound cake speech.
remember
That's
the
sad.
90s?
That's a
You
very
talking
sad
about,
speech he gave.
you know, you're talking about when you were talking about the buffoony shows in the 90s. I think the epitome of that was Homeboys from Outer Space. Remember that? And I was Daryl in Homeboys from Outer Space, or am I just making that up in my head?
And that's another thing, because they used the characters from the Cosby Show to put out, because he was very upset because Lisa Bonet did, what movie was that where he played? She was sleeping with the devil. What movie was
yeah,
this?
she had sex with the devil or something
She had
crazy
sex
like
with
that.
the devil. He was livid because that's his daughter. You know, subconsciously, that's his daughter that just got turned out.
Wow. Now, was Daryl in Homeboys from Outer Space?
I don't know. Somebody will look it up.
Yeah, I'm gonna look it up. But yeah, so you are right. Now, yeah, Daryl was in that. Yeah, with Flex. Isn't that funny that Flex Alexander and Daryl Bell, mind you, you know that Flex and Shanice are friends of ours, right? Flex hit me up on Instagram back before they took down my Instagram. I had a page. I knew I would get. I kid you not, in my inbox, I would get messages from. I keep calling him Theodore Huxtable, but that's not his real name. His real name is Malcolm Jamal Warner.
Who
is, by the way, a very cool dude. And me and Malcolm would talk extensively. And I love talking to Malcolm because he's a smart guy, and he would hear me say things about politics that would shock some people because I say what's on my mind. And he would, instead of saying, "Oh, that's stupid" or "that's crazy," he would say, "Can you explain that further? I'd like to understand that." And that's all. I think that's it. I think that's all anybody wants is like, can we just hear each other? You know, like maybe I'm saying something that's going to shock you a little bit, but I'm not a stupid man. I thought this through. So yeah. But then Flex out of the blue was messaging me because I think he does comedy shows or something. And he was like, "Yeah, you should come to my show when I come to Chicago." I was like, "Cool." And then Daryl Bell, you know, who is a great guy, super smart. And Daryl kind of helped us understand the limitations of what they can and can't do. I was shocked, and I hope you don't mind me sharing this. I think it's public knowledge, but I was really shocked when I found out how much of a grip Warner Brothers has on the show. How they literally got a trademark or a copyright or something on Whitley's accent. Like Jasmine Guy
she cannot speak in that accent. Her accent was copyrighted. So
that's insane.
For her to use the accent that she came up with, she'd have to get permission and pay somebody if they'll give it to her. She'd have to do that. So she has to speak in a different voice. What you gonna say?
No. I think that's interesting, right? And that really gets into, I think, the difference in terms of how Black people. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
Okay, that gets into the difference in terms of how Black people and non-Black people view ownership and entertainment, right? I think that when it comes to entertainment, we tend to think about trying to get on the stage. We want to be seen. We want to sign the deal and be the entertainer and get all the attention and the fame.
This is so hard, boys.
Right. We do. Well, we do. But here's what's interesting, right? The people that are in other communities who see the talent that our people have, they're not thinking about getting on the stage. They want to own the stage. They want to be behind the stage. They want to put $1 billion into the distribution of the images that are on the stage. They want to get the trademarks, copyrights, patents, whatever related to whatever's being created through entertainment. So when we saw hip hop, we saw, if you use hip hop as an example, we saw hip hop as creativity and a party and fun and everything else. They saw that as a business, and I think that so all these copyrights and everything on these shows that we consider to be Black shows pretty much means that others have monetized Black attention. And we've provided that willingly. We're not getting money from this. We're not making the revenue from this, but they are. And they're thinking, okay, what's the next big thing we can use to monetize the attention that we can get from the Black community? Oh, that's right. Let's create a movie called Black Panther. And it'll become a thing, and black people will show up wearing their Black Panther costumes, and it'll become a must see TV for every person in the Black community.
And at the end of the movie, I want to jump in. At the end of the movie, a Black woman is going to save the colonizers. Is going to join in and help and save them from everything. After talking about them all throughout the movie, you're going to join with them in their council. You're going to bring them into the fold. So
That's heavy.
strong Black people, again, it's another representation of we are serving them. That's what
By
the
the
Black
way,
Panther was.
guess what? I found the the comments under the
Oh,
Kamala Harris
okay.
post.
What did you say?
So I'm gonna read that in a minute. But before I do that, if y'all could do me a favor, please hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe. You're watching Pillow Talk with Dr. Boyce and Dr. Alicia Watkins. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. This is my wife, Dr. Alicia Watkins. I'm a finance professor. My wife is she's a full professor of social work, not just a professor, a full professor. I got to give this Black woman her props. And also, she is a licensed therapist. And so her website is coachingwithdralicia.com. If you'd like to get some free resources from Dr. Alicia on healthy relationships, things like that, and a free e-copy of my book, Financial Lovemaking, you can just text the word love, pull out your phone, text the word love to 87948. And that will also allow us to remain connected and break away from these YouTube algorithms and all that. And we are on Spotify. If you look up my name on Spotify, you'll find us there. But we want to be able to connect with you directly because, as you know, sometimes these paid platforms just disappear, and we don't want that to happen. So if you pull out your phone and text the word love to 87948, you'll get stuff from us, and it will enhance your life. If it doesn't, then that's okay. You can just walk away, but we'd love to make your life better. All right, so let's I'm going to read the comments. So Kamala Harris brought the cast of Different World to the White House, and she was using that to promote the Biden administration's initiatives on student loans. And so I'm gonna just read the comments straight down. Okay, so there is okay. So the first comment isn't so bad. It's from a retired doctor named Negro Damas.
That's a great name.
He says, "I'm a retired doctor. Y'all need to start doing more TikTok because of the influence it has on young minds. They do not get info from CNN and Instagram. My young niece did not know of the Biden's awesome accomplishments because she gets her news from TikTok. So sad. Okay, that's not bad. But then the next person says that they effed up their show by having Kamala in the video. Like, it was a great video to Kamala appeared. The next person, B. Irvin, says, oh, it must be time to get the Black vote. Let's see. Another one says Cree Summer hasn't aged today. She hasn't. She really
has not. Well, you know, she's on Abbott Elementary. She did a cameo on Abbott Elementary.
Oh, that's awesome. And then the next comment, I Am Dream Jules says it's election year, so she's Black again. So, you know, Kamala, they didn't call her Chameleonaire because Kamala Chameleonaire, she tends to like sort of change races, like depending on where she's at. So sometimes she's Indian, sometimes she's Black, sometimes she's a white woman. That's pretty impressive.
But you know, there's a whole thing. You know, there's a whole thing on TikTok about they've been monitoring her silk press. They said she get her silk presses done, and all she do is get silk press and laugh. And I was like, you know what? If I was ever vice president, that's what I would do. I'd have a fresh silk press every time you saw me. I'd be laughing and giggling because it is nothing. It's just wonderful being the vice president. It's not much on you when you're the vice president.
I don't know about that.
All you do is just hold up whatever the president says. You just like all you do is listen to what the president says, and then you just say it in your own words. You can put the president's speech into AI, Chat GPT, and just create yet another copy of his speech, and that's it. Vice president. At least that's what I see. So what he said. I don't hate it.
Okay, so here's another one. Someone says the VP ain't FBA. FBA stands for Foundational Black American, which is interesting because they rarely put a Black person in that high of an office who is just standard African American descendant of slavery.
They have to show allegiance. They have to show allegiance to them.
Yeah, or maybe you have the white spouse. The white spouse is another
allegiance to them.
Yeah, I think the white spouse is another signal that you are a little bit safer. And in addition to that, if one of your parents is from another country, like Ketanji Brown Jackson had the white spouse, also her family's not African American. So really, I think it is important, you know, when we're looking at so-called Black faces in high places, I think that it's okay to make a distinction between those who are African American and those who are just Black. What do you think?
You know what just occurred to me?
What?
Isn't that what we saw in the Black Panther? Because it really wasn't African Americans that helped the white people out. It was the other Black folks who helped them out. It was the people in Wakanda, where the African Americans were kind of just like playing basketball and doing treacherous things. Because remember, Killmonger, is that his name? Killmonger? I can't get,
Killmonger.
You know how I feel. Killmonger represented African Americans. And his role, he was so demonized in his role. He wasn't helping out. So that's what we are. We're part of the Killmonger group. And I think that the other group, the Wakanda group, who eventually came in with their accents, because I let you know that they're not here. Those were the people that helped out. So that's what we're seeing. We're seeing selected Black faces just so that we can have an avenue to cultivate their agenda, to further their own agenda. It ain't just all Black people. It's this select group of Black people who are furthering their cause, and they're not African Americans.
Well, the way I kind of look at that too, what I kind of see with Killmonger versus the Black Panther kind of thing, and you are 100% right about that, is that there is, I think there's this belief that African Americans are these flawed, damaged people, and that the best thing, in the tradition of racist white paternalism, the best thing they can do for us is to teach us how to be a little more civilized and how to put the past behind us, right? So, and what's interesting is that even this week I saw Nick Cannon, who was humiliated pretty badly, unfortunately, by the people that kind of run Hollywood. I saw him do an interview, and he was kind of saying, we have to get past this whole blame the white man thing. And I felt like, and I don't disagree, right?
Hold on, wait. Nick
Cannon, yeah, Nick Cannon said, but don't get me wrong, it wasn't a bad interview. I don't think Nick's a bad guy. I spent about an hour on the phone with Nick's father. I can learn a lot by listening to how your father talks, and I liked his dad, and I liked Nick. But unfortunately, Nick well, the hard part is that Nick was the wrong guy to deliver that message because unfortunately Nick is a little bit incarcerated. He's in this space where he's making lots of money playing these roles, on these goofy shows, and
a walking just sort of stereotype.
Yeah, but then on top of that, though, it's like he was humiliated. Like, they really, when he did that interview with Professor Griff, where they got into this conversation about who the original Jews are, which is apparently, that's just a conversation you're not allowed to have if you're from Hollywood. You're not even allowed to ask the question. Like, remember Kyrie Irving, he just literally retweeted somebody asking the question. They punished Kyrie in the same tradition that they punished Nick. And it's kind of like sort of saying, like, look, you need to remember who's boss. So Nick submitted to that. Nick apologized repeatedly over and over again.
He's got child support payments.
Well, he does.
He got child support payments. That's real talk right there.
That's so true. I mean, I guess a lot of people would apologize to pay their child support.
He's got to survive. He's got to survive in this world.
Nick's gonna have to work till he's 112 because he got about 8.
Never stop. Ain't never gonna stop.
That man got a big family. Anyway, though, but the thing was that I felt like Nick was not the right guy to deliver that particular message about what African Americans need to do, because he's speaking from a position of what appears to be some type of servitude or something where he has to be committed to something. And so anyway, so going back though, let's go back to the whole Killmonger thing. I think with Killmonger, you're right. It does represent sort of this idea that African Americans need to get over it, that we are damaged and that we behave this way because we have refused to get over the fact that we are hurt by what others have done to us and what we do to each other. And so the idea that Killmonger was presented as the bad guy and that the Africans were presented as the good guys, and the so-called good guys end up saving the white guy.
Loyalty. Yeah.
I think that there's a real message in that.
Yeah, and if you look at Black Panther 2, if we want to get into the second one, everything was, I mean, okay, I love the rise of the Black woman, but it was the rise of the Black woman to yet again save white people. And that's always been our job, is to be in this servitude role. Come on.
Boy, remember the end of the Harriet Tubman movie?
Oh God. Shoot the man. Well, why wouldn't she shoot him at the end? I was like,
where Think about this. In the Harriet Tubman movie, the only person Harriet actually killed, and remember, Harriet was known for carrying the shotgun and taking people out.
Come on.
The only person Harriet killed was a black man.
She shot her. I mean, she had her gun at the white guy, and then instead of shooting, she made this stupid speech about it ain't right to enslave somebody.
Right. You ain't supposed to enslave people.
That's the dumbest. Who are these writers? This is the dumbest. I could not, as an actress, I'd be done. I'm like, this has got to change. Never make it.
Well, the Harriet Tubman movie was just interesting because you could see where the writers of this film created characters specifically to pursue their agenda, right? There were two characters that we know were fictional, that we know did not exist, and that was
the gay man.
There we go. I forgot about
this.
So that makes it three.
Hold on.
So there was the gay guy, and remember though. Hold on, but then there was the woman where Harriet Tubman had a scene that was like a woman to woman kind of intimate scene, and then there was the big, angry, dark black man who ends up killing the black woman. And I said, this is so crazy. They literally, in the middle of this film that's supposed to be kind of historically accurate, they create black characters that fit their agendas, and they make the black man the most evil person in the movie, when you've got slave masters sitting on the other side who don't even get punished for what they did.
Now, one slave master died in that whole film. You trying to tell me, come on, not one slave master. And this ain't no hate for LGBT, for the LGBT group. This is their month. And I applaud that, because I think that that's a good thing that they have their month, by the way, Boyce.
Of course.
I just want to say that. But there is an agenda there. And that was the agenda. It's to feminize black men. That's
right. Well,
go ahead.
All right. Well, everybody, you're watching Pillow Talk with Dr. Boyce and Dr. Alicia Watkins. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. This is my lovely wife, Dr. Alicia. And if y'all could please hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe. Also, this podcast is on Spotify. So if you go to Spotify, you look up my name, Boyce Watkins, you can find us there. Also, Dr. Alicia, she sees clients on an individual basis, on a family basis. She sees couples as well. So if you're interested, you can go to coachingwithdralicia.com. That's coachingwithdralicia.com. And she has workbooks on things like financial anxiety, stuff like that. I have a new book out called The 10 Commandments of Black Economic Power. It's a bestseller on Amazon. So if you'd like to take a look at any of those books, feel free to go to drboycebooks.com. And if you go to drboycebooks.com, you can use the code word book club, all one word, and get 30% off anything in the store. So feel free to go in there and fulfill your educational needs. I believe deeply, and I think my wife agrees, that we should educate ourselves and each other. I don't necessarily know if the system is doing its job. So anyway, so we were talking about Kamala Harris bringing in the cast of A Different World to the White House, and she got really hammered by this. And I'm going to keep reading. I'm going to read more of the comments, baby. You want to hear some more of the comments that people made?
I do.
Yeah, because the internet's hilarious, and and they pretty much
funny ones.
Yeah, they pretty much went off on her. Okay, so here's some more. Someone said, you're like the special character that comes on 2 times a year on a TV show. Yeah, so
a cameo. You just make a cameo appearance. We don't really we're not really interested in it. Just a cameo appearance. Okay.
Yeah, so I guess they're saying Kamala only pops up a couple times a year. And then let's see, there's another comment here that says the pandering is sickening. The next comment from Paris Unique Cakes says, girl, you've been hiding. Now you pop out with this. You put too much effort into this when you should have been trying to put out this effort into the United States. Great. This isn't good enough. You still don't have my vote. Another comment is the next one is this supposed to be black voter outreach? No policy, just entertainment and nostalgia. So it sounds to me like there are people who are they sort of see the black community, in my view, almost like a community full of children that want to be entertained, right? And so instead of giving them actual policy or giving them something that we can really sink our teeth into, a conversation about reparations, things like that, it's like, no, let's bring the cast of A Different World and connect them, co-brand them with Kamala, and then make everyone feel like this is important. And I'm gonna tell you that in the comments, it's almost like a revolt. And I'm literally reading straight down the comments. Another one says, child, this is comment after comment. It's not like there's good comments in the middle of the bad. Like all of them were pretty bad. The next one says, child, ain't nobody seen her in 4 years. Did she pop back out with that HBCU shit? Nah, I'm good. And the next one says pandering and planning all of what not to do for Black people. The next comment says, oh, let's see. The next comment is, it's so weird how Kamala remembers she's Black only during election years. Let's see. Another one says, let's give Mr. Cosby his flowers for creating this. And I'm going to tell you, I think that was a pretty heavy comment. Now, Cosby, we talked about him earlier. How did you feel the night? Remember, you know what's funny? This is where I tell you well, you know, let me just say this. I don't think that Cosby's whole reputation is gone. I think that there are pockets of society. See, what happens is we don't think that we matter. You know, we don't think that our opinion matters. Like, and I think our opinion is the only opinion that matters in certain situations. So I'm gonna tell you, you know, when I asked earlier, I said, how many of you still have, some sort of favorable opinion or respect for Cosby? Most of you said yes. You know, it doesn't mean that you think he's a great guy. You don't think he's perfect, but you know, remember that night when you and I talked to Cosby for just a few minutes. I guess he wanted to reach out and thank us because I don't know what he was thanking me for, because I didn't defend him. I just said he deserved a fair trial. I think that he was kind of railroaded a little bit because they literally broke the law to incarcerate him. So anyway, we were on the phone and our mothers got so excited.
They were
like when he called, like my mama and your mama both asked to be on three-way when
they
he
was
called.
Giggling like little teenagers. I was like,
they really were.
See my mama during that time.
They really were. Your mama was excited. My mama was excited, and they didn't give a damn. Like they just kind of. I think that women of that generation, like the old school women, and shout out to Felicia Rashad as well. I think the old school women, they kind of see the nuance of it. They don't forgive the men when they misbehave, but they do kind of say, we know what the real deal is. Like we know what was going on in Hollywood. We know about, some of the stuff that they won't talk about in the media, where maybe it's not as clear cut as people want to make it out to be. We know why y'all was all kicking it in the Playboy Mansion. Right. Instead of making it like, the black man was there
for a reason.
Right. Like the black man's there because he wants to be a predator. The white woman she was on her way to the grocery store and the black man kidnapped her and took her to the Playboy Mansion. No, y'all was all up in there because y'all were doing some dirty stuff. Right. And I think it doesn't mean Cosby
back then.
Right. It doesn't mean that anybody thinks Cosby is innocent or that he didn't do some things he should be ashamed of. It just means like, come on now, y'all trying to isolate him as the only person. It's like he was the only person that did dirt in the 60s. And we know that that's not true. Remember the driver? I want you to talk about this because I've talked too much. But remember that time? I want you to describe to everybody, babe. That night, you and I were in Los Angeles and we rode. We had a driver who drove for Hugh Hefner for a bunch of years. His name was David. He was a white guy. And he gave us his opinion of all the things he saw. He said, I didn't just know Hugh very well. I knew Bill Cosby very well. And he knew the women that were in the documentaries. What did he say? Go ahead, please.
He said, I've seen things and heard of things that would make Bill Cosby look like a saint. He said it's mild in comparison to what was happening in the Playboy Mansion back then. And everybody knew it. Everybody knew what was going on. When you went to the Playboy Mansion, this was going down. Like everybody knew what it was about, which is exactly what our mom said. Our mom said, why would you be there? Everybody understands what it was. Why were you there? So it's not like it was a mystery. You just kind of fell into this situation. It's like they were capitalizing off of this situation. They saw him kind of fall down and then everybody got on a bandwagon so that they can get that money. They were looking for that paycheck. Yeah, and this is terrible because there are real cases of assault against women that we do need to acknowledge because the Me Too movement in a lot of different ways is shed light on actual situations where women were taken advantage of. So I definitely don't want to sound as if women are just out for money. But I think in that scenario, it was kind of overdone. But I will tell you this, during that time when Bill Cosby was on trial, I was teaching a class to white suburban women about race issues. And all of them said, oh, this is nothing but racism. Every single one of them. There wasn't. It could be skewed a little bit because because these are like different type of white people. But even they were thinking, isn't this amazing? You know, that they would actually bring down Bill Cosby and everybody else is not going down with him. All the other people that were doing it, it's nothing but racism. And I didn't say anything. I just stood in the middle of the classroom and they all talked about how the Me Too movement was weaponized against Black men.
Mm-hmm. Well,
So they got us all fooled. Mm-hmm.
Well, let's think about it like this. I'm going to say something and I'm going to question my own statement because it just came to mind and I'm throwing it out there for us to process this because I want to encourage all of us to just be thinkers. I think it's possible that there's a big overlap in terms of who Hugh Hefner was, who Jeffrey Epstein was, who Bill Cosby is, and who Diddy is. Like, I think Diddy, Cosby, Epstein, and Hefner all had a lot in common. I think Diddy, Cosby, Epstein, and Hefner could have all partied together. Maybe they did. Maybe they did. It's possible.
Ain't no party like a Diddy party.
Right. So you saw. So
Yeah.
Epstein got it. He paid the price for his behavior. And really, I think that there's even something deeper and more sinister going on, right? Not to feed, and I see, the name Weinstein, maybe that's another name to throw in there as well. And here you're talking about men who were all invited into the most privileged circles. You know,
Hugh Hefner is glorified. I mean, Hugh Hefner is glorified. I mean, they've done specials on him. He got roasted. Like they have treated him like a saint. And it wasn't until he died. It wasn't until Hugh Hefner passed away that now all of a sudden this Me Too movement is now being seen.
Oh, and another name I would throw in there might even be R. Kelly.
I think R. Kelly is something different.
Really? Okay.
I don't think we can really compare R. Kelly to Bill Cosby necessarily, because that's just a whole different thing that's happening. I think, R. Kelly is a tough one to defend.
I'm not defending any of them. I'm not. No. Let's just be clear. I'm not here to defend. Yeah, I'm not here to defend any of them. What I am here to talk about is the compare and contrast. And I want to ask y'all, give me a yes or no. Let's go back. Let's rewind the clock. Let's go back to 1998. And let's write down all these names. This is a thought experiment. I want everybody to go with me on this if you can. So what names we mentioned? Diddy, R. Kelly, Cosby, Hefner, Weinstein, and Epstein. So we got two Steens, a Hef, a Cosby, a Kelly, and a Diddy. So Kelly and Diddy are two entertainers, a rapper and a singer. Cosby and Hef are two OGs. These are guys that have been around for a while. And then you got the two Steens, right? So who are in a whole different community in terms of controlling, Hollywood or access or wealth, right? Could you all imagine a party in 1998 where at least 4 out of 6 of these men were at the same party? Could you imagine a party where Diddy is there, R. Kelly is there, maybe Weinstein or Epstein is there, and it's at Hugh Hefner's house?
Maybe during the time, remember he had the theme song to the Olympics? Wasn't he like, I believe he had a theme song to the Olympics.
I believe I can fly. I believe I can touch the sky. Okay, so here we go, right? So can you imagine, like, let's say we rewound the clock 25 years. I can imagine Diddy, R. Kelly, Cosby, Weinstein, and Epstein all partying at the Playboy Mansion. Can y'all imagine this? Is that something that you think would have been possible in 1998? Give me a yes or no. I think it's possible. And here's the thing. This is what's just so interesting to me about this is that I see a lot of overlap in those guys in the sense that they were celebrated at one point. You know, I still remember when the guy from Vlad TV, Vlad, called me to warn me about being friends with Damon Dash because he said Dame cussed out Harvey Weinstein in public, and you just don't do that because Weinstein. I said, well, who the hell's Harvey Weinstein? I don't know this guy. He said, oh, he's one of the most important people in Hollywood. I remember that conversation, and I was like, oh, that's a big deal. And Dame cussed him out because Dame saw what Weinstein was doing with women, and he didn't care. He just cussed him out in public or whatever. But my point is to say that, it's interesting to me that all these guys were celebrated in the 90s, and then in after 2000, they their activities became unearthed because the world changed. And again, I'm not here to defend any of these guys, but here's the point I want to make on this too, though. All these men were readily accepted by everybody all the way to the top, from Oprah to the Obamas to,
Yeah.
they could go in any circle and be friends. And sorry, I cut you off. Go ahead.
No, I was saying, those accusations about R. Kelly, I mean, he had been in and out of court. It wasn't like a secret. He had been in and out of court all the way leading up to this, all of a sudden, public display of what R. Kelly has done. Like, if we were really interested in saving Black little girls who were victimized by R. Kelly, then it would have been squashed decades ago when he was driving around Hyde Park picking up little girls at McDonald's, at that McDonald's right there. You know that McDonald's. We've been there a bunch of times, picking up little girls there. If we really cared about, those little girls who got, well, they did get used. If we really cared, we would have put an end to. He would have been locked up even back then when everybody knew what he was doing. So,
well, do you remember 20 years ago when you and I were just friends and we didn't know we'd be married 20 years later? And I called you about R. Kelly. Remember that? And I made up that little song where I took this edition, and I wish I could find it, but I changed the lyrics. And I called you, because I didn't have that many friends. And so you were one of my few friends.
You made me think, Boyce. I was like, oh, he's right. But that's
it was all about him picking up little girls on the playground. And she's I think I said she counts with her fingers and toes, and she's this many years old. Right? Little kids go, and you go, how old are you? And they go, this many. I wish I could find it. If I could find it, I'd read it. But even back then, like 2003, 2004, I remember being just really shocked and kind of concerned that the Black community didn't care.
Then, you were saying, Alicia, stop listening to that music. And he had the #1 hit at the time. Like, God, I don't want to listen to that music. Dang, this is playing all the time on the radio. He was the guy, the man. Everybody knew. Everybody in Chicago knew what he was doing.
Yeah, and here's the thing. This is why I think some of these documentaries where they isolate one person, like he's the only one, I think that it's a bunch of BS, because all these guys, Diddy, R. Kelly, Cosby, Hefner, Weinstein, and Epstein, had a lot of friends. They could go into any circle, hang out with any celebrity, and a lot of those celebrities partied with those guys all night long. Diddy, again, it goes all the way up to the White House. Every single one of these individuals, if I'm not mistaken, every one of these individuals has hung out with presidents of the United States. So I think that it's more like one of these things where, there's some inappropriate stuff happening, but I'm gonna tell you like this: if the conspiracy theorist in me wonders about if I categorize and sort them out, I take Diddy, Hefner, and Epstein, and based on their behavior, it would not surprise me if they did work for the government, because all three of those individuals did things that didn't make sense to me. Like, why would you just have a big house in a big place? Like Epstein had that island. Diddy had his house where people would just go in there and do God knows what. Hefner had the Playboy Mansion. Why would you have this?
And they videotape. Right. So that tells you they're videotaping what's happening. Like,
I had this.
Throwing a party. Okay, we're gonna have a party. We'll have a party for your birthday coming up. Like, can you imagine us inviting people over and ain't no party like a Diddy party? And I'm just videotaping everybody. Everybody gets videotaped. Like, what's the point of these parties?
Yeah, like how many of y'all in the chat? I mean, has anybody ever gone? How many of y'all go to parties to have sex? That's what's weird. I don't get me. I know that stuff's out there, and you got the swinger culture and the sex parties and all. Yeah, that's real, and I'm not judging. But most of y'all don't go to a party expecting to just be sleeping with somebody in one of the bedrooms. Like, you go to a party and maybe you hang out, you have drinks, you talk, and then you go home and you sleep with your boyfriend, girlfriend, or wife. You don't, so the idea of that you're even having a sex party is foreign for most normal people. So the fact that Diddy, Hef, and Epstein created a special space, pay attention now, a special space where they said, we want you to just let go. Just come in and just like a Wonka land, like a Disneyland for grownups. where you just come in here and do whatever you want. And then they got cameras set up. Oh, if that ain't a setup, I don't know what is.
Let me tell you something. There's a price for fame. And this system that puts you on top, it will chew you up and it will spit you out. And that's what happened to the black men who forget who and what they are and where they come from. And the fact that this system that doesn't need them anymore, they're done, they're useless at this point, and they're spitting them out. And it's rinse and repeat. It's rinse and repeat, boys. It is. I'm gonna tell you something. I think I figured the formula out. Now, I sent you a text today. Didn't I send you a text message today, boys? What did I? Don't be ignoring my text.
I don't remember which.
I sent you a text message, and I'm gonna tell you something. I think Cat Williams is on to something.
Oh, Cat Lord, Williams not Cat Williams again.
Huh?
I said, no, not Cat Williams again.
Cat Williams is on to something when he talked about how they marry these black men off to these, oh Lord.
I think he said light-skinned, funny-faced women or something.
Light-skinned, funny-faced women. And who is Eddie Murphy now dating? Some light-skinned, funny-faced woman.
Well, she's not light-skinned. She's Australian.
Well, whatever. That's what they do. And I mean, just these weird photos. There's a bunch. I've been sending them to you boys. And I'm like, what the
heck? Maybe. I don't know about that. But let me just say this. I wouldn't be surprised.
Hold on. Wait a minute.
What?
I'm making predictions.
Out of all the 6 men, what's your prediction?
That's my prediction. That's the
formula. I don't know. That's to let you know. I don't get it. What is the prediction? You're not predicting anything.
My prediction is we now know who the next people on the rise are going to be.
Who?
It's going to be one of these black men who are dating these women who are dating these women.
Eddie Murphy's a legend already. I don't understand what you're referencing. You're not making sense to me, babe.
I'm saying, listen with your ears, boys. These black men. Okay, so we just laid out the formula. How you're brought into the system. It's a ritual. You're brought into this system. Cat Williams talked about it in January. He started the new year talking about this. It's a ritual where these black men are getting married off to these white women or these high yellow. You know how he mentioned, what did he say, Boyce? You had it. You just said it.
He said light-skinned, funny-faced women that don't talk too much.
Yes. And that's what you see. And I gotta go. But anyway, that's what you see, and that's what we're seeing now. I think that's the new formula now. That's how we can now tell who the next people on the rise are gonna be. That's how we can identify them, because their whole life, Eddie Murphy's never dated a white woman his whole life. I mean, you don't really see him that much. And then all of a sudden, there's a rash of these black men who are just dating these that are.
I chalk it up to the fact that California guys don't like black women. That's what I think. I think it's most of the black women I know in California, they pretty much say that the black men avoid them, right? And that's and I would just say, but just going back, I don't know about what you refer, like you and Cat Williams can talk about that one, but I'll just say this. I think that when you talk about Diddy, R. Kelly, Cosby, Hefner, Weinstein, and Epstein, you're talking about 6 guys who were invited into every circle, and they probably tainted a lot of people who are desperately working to make sure they're not affiliated with their relationship with these people. All these people, like I remember hearing stories about how R. Kelly would have Michael Jordan over to his house to play basketball. We know Diddy had everybody around. Cosby knew everybody. And so I think that this idea of kind of isolating people and saying these are the bad guys, everybody else is good, I don't think that that's accurate. I think that there are a lot of so-called bad guys, if you want to call it that. And I think that nuance is called for. So my summary on that would be that if you're going to talk about a different world, then you got to give some credit to Cosby. You can still hold him accountable for anything that you think he did wrong, but the man had a brilliant career. He did a lot of great things for the world, and I think he's going to have a great legacy in the black community. And I'm sick and tired of white people deciding, what the legacies of black people are going to be. Cosby went out into that world and they lifted him up, and the same people that lift you up can tear you down. But I don't think
he did a lot for black people too. So here's my theory. I'm going to lay out my theory here. Okay. I could be stretching it. Just as successful black women have to attach themselves to white men to get their good nigga sticker, for the lack of a better term. So do black men. Black men,
Yeah.
it's not good. You're not going to see the rise of a black man and a black woman together in their system. That's what I'm
Typically
saying.
not.
You're not going to
Typically
get a
not.
rise. You're not going to get the rise. And I don't know how Denzel Washington has been able to. I think Denzel Washington, I don't know how he's been able to escape it. He's been pretty squeaky clean so far. But you're not, for the most part, this is my theory, and we can test out this theory. You're not going to see the rise of a black individual unless they're hitched on to somebody who's white. That's my theory.
I mean, I can see that, right? I look at it as like you're traveling down the road, and if you have a car, you can go further, and you can go faster. But it's still possible to travel without a car. You just have to walk a lot further, right? Like you do have a lot of really prominent black couples. LeBron and his wife, have done quite well. Samuel Jackson has a black wife. There are lots of black couples that get certain opportunities, but I do agree with you at the same time that when you send these signals, like you say, look, hey, my wife is white, or hey, I'm not really black, I'm African black, right? These little subtle differences that does open doors that you would not have if you are a pure African American couple. Like Ketanji Brown Jackson would not be on the Supreme Court if she were an African American woman with an African American husband, because I think white America knows just how much they owe us. And they know that if you are intelligent, conscious, and black, like James Baldwin said, you have to be full of rage. If you are African American and you are not angry about what they've taken from you, what they've done to you, he says basically something's wrong with you. Right. And so I really think that that's part of the reason why we're pushed out, because I think that there is an expectation we're going to have some anger. And truth is that we're supposed to be. When things like that are done to you, you're supposed to be mad about it. So shout out to the angry black people. I think that you have it right. Babe, I'll let you get the last word. Any final thoughts?
Well, that was my final thought. My theory that I lay out. We should do some more talks about this and to see, this is my model. And let's just pull the data in as we go along our little life, watching and observing and paying attention and using our critical thinking, our critical thinking brain. Let's see how the data fits this model.
Okay. All right. So
Yeah.
So we can have a show, Conspiracy Theories with Dr. Boyce and Dr. Alicia. How about that? All right. So I want to say thank you very much, babe, for hanging out with me. You can follow Alicia on Instagram at Coaching with Dr. Alicia. And her website also is coachingwithdralicia.com. So if you're looking for a good therapist, she can help you. I don't know how much space she has on her calendar. You're pretty busy, I know. But you guys can go check it out. She also has classes and workbooks and things like that. We're all about healing and making yourself healthy and having healthy relationships, and also about black people loving each other. That's what we believe in. That's what we like to do. And also, if you want to get free resources from Dr. Alicia, you can text the word love to 87948. Text love to 87948. We believe deeply in the strength of the black family as a key and critical element for black success and prosperity. So we don't hate anybody. I don't hate white folks. I have nothing against any other group, but I just love myself and love my people, love my family, and love my woman. And I ain't nothing wrong with that. And I ain't never gonna apologize. So they just be waiting for the apology. By the way, so tomorrow morning, don't forget, we also do economic awareness training where we help you to elevate economically. So if you are into economic elevation and you want to join us tomorrow morning, the class is totally free. We've trained millions of people on how to get your economics right. You know, my PhD's in finance. Just pull out your phone, text the word morning to 87948, and I will send you an invitation to join us tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. We do this every morning at 10 a.m. Eastern. So text the word morning to 87948. Or if you live in another country and you can't do the text thing, just go to drboyceelevate.com. That's drboyceelevate.com. And G Love says, shout out to Constance Carter. Yes, that is another person that we love. So thank you all for hanging out with us. We'll be back again soon. Make sure you subscribe and thumbs up and all that stuff so you'll be connected. And we'll let you guys know when we do another one of these talks. So take care. Love you. And thanks again, babe. Talk to you later. Bye-bye. These demons through life and how you can work through these things. Remember when I was mentioning to you all that undiagnosed, untreated trauma is, in my view, the greatest impediment to black wealth, because to build economies, you need trust, and traumatized people cannot trust very well. Traumatized people also can't even trust themselves. They don't come through for themselves as well as they could otherwise, because when you have all these extra emotions you're carrying around, this extra baggage, it really makes it difficult for you to reach your fullest potential and become the person that you're supposed to be. So this is one of the reasons why I think even with our kids, we want to work very, very hard to help them shape their identities and at an early age, so that they don't have these impediments that keep them from becoming their very best selves, right? So I personally think even things like racism, I know that racism in Kentucky, growing up as a black kid in Kentucky, really sort of gave me a weird inferiority complex that I was constantly fighting, where I would be shadow boxing. I'd be fighting battles that didn't even exist because I was so traumatized by this idea that I was going to be treated differently just because I was black, and I know that even as I got older, there would be situations I would walk into where I didn't feel comfortable, or I was dealing with all these excess emotions that kind of blocked me from being able to really just do my thing and to react to things in the right way, in a measured way. It's like when I was teaching at Syracuse University, I remember dealing with white kids, and it sometimes conflicts would emerge because maybe I'd get offended by something somebody said or whatever, instead of me just dealing with the issue. Now, I think that we might have, speaking of dealing with the issue, are we back? Do we have audio?
Yes, I have audio. I figured it out
Okay,
quickly.
great. All right, very awesome, very awesome. All right,
Okay.
so babe, why don't you tell them who you are, what you do? I assume most of y'all know this is my wife, Dr. Alicia Watkins, and I'm going to mention this really quickly. My wife is a not just a therapist. She is a therapist that trains other therapists, so she's really good at what she does. Also, she is, and I got to give props to the black woman next to me. I hope that's okay. She is one of
Well,
the few, a very small percentage of PhDs. First of all, only less than 1% of the population has a PhD, and that percentage is even lower when you talk about people that look like us. But then even beyond that, a small percentage of PhDs become full professors at a university, right? So she's really rare in her field. She's one of the best around. I watch her every day in terms of the fact that she listens to therapy trainings just for fun. I've seen her read books hundreds of pages long on the subconscious mind. So she's really a great partner in terms of being able to understand what's really happening with our mindset and our money. So with me saying all that, babe, why don't you tell them
look
who
at
you are, what you
you.
do, and everything else? Because I have to lay it out there. I want to lay it out there because I don't want people, because there are a lot of people on the internet who sound good but don't know what the hell they're talking about.
Yeah.
And I know you put in 20 years of work, 30 years of work into this stuff, right? So to me, I think there's a difference between somebody who has been studying something for 20 or 30 years versus somebody who just got up one morning and decided to start a podcast, and so because it really can cause you, it makes the difference between getting good information and bad information, or scientifically proven information, versus just something that came off somebody's hip. So anyway, I'll let you go ahead and take over from here. Why don't you tell them about what you do and everything else?
Yeah, my name is Dr. Alicia, and I am a social worker. I like to present myself as a social worker first because that's my background in my training, and I work as a professor in the Department of Social Work at a a nice institution. So that's what I do. I do train other adults who want to change their career and become a social worker, many of them, and I also do a lot of supervision for individuals who want to get their license. So I'm a licensed therapist, and so I help sign off on other individuals who have completed their degree and they also want to become a therapist, a licensed therapist as well. So that's some of the things that I do. And I also have my own private practice, and I do a lot of work, particularly with a lot of your students, Boyce, but also some other people as well. So I work with families, I work with couples, I work with individuals who have these demons attached to them. I love this whole, uh, what is it? You said financial demons
Yeah,
that you're going
financial
to talk about
demons.
today.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
So,
yeah. Go ahead,
mhm.
please. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I think I love that whole concept. And, I'm not going to say demon in my practice, but I mean, that's essentially what we're doing. How do you get rid of demons? Like, what is it? The exorcist? I
Mhm.
should be like the priest and the exorcist to get rid of the demons inside of you. So, I love
Yeah,
that. I love that whole
yeah. Well,
concept.
yeah. Well, let me lay this out. I don't think I've never seen that term financial demons used in any other setting, in any textbook or anything. But but that's the goal of the Black Business School and our financial therapy department is we're not here to just simply replicate what's already been studied. We want to go deeper. We want, we're the black wealth, the black wealth surgeons, of America, in the sense that, to solve a serious problem like the racial wealth gap, you really need to do that surgery. You need to do that specialist focal, very, very deep focused specialization that's going to allow you to figure out from a nuanced fashion like what's really happening here, right? So the term financial demons is basically something, or you can call them money demons, either one, whatever you want to call them. It basically comes from any fears or anxieties or negative beliefs about money that can really undermine and sabotage your financial thinking. Now, I want you guys to give me a yes or no. Would you say that there are money demons in the Black community? Do you think that there are fears when it comes to money that plague us, anxieties, just stress that comes when it comes to money? Are there negative beliefs that hold us back? And also, the thing about these psychological barriers is that they might come from past experiences. I want you to think about the past experiences that you've had or that you've seen other people have that may affect their decisions when it comes to money. Social pressures like keeping up with the Joneses, following whatever you saw them do on BET, ingrained beliefs. Do you think that there are any money demons that relate to ingrained beliefs, maybe cultural baggage or social norms or generational curses that relate to money that keep us broke, that keep us struggling? And the thing is that here's the thing about a money demon. A money demon, it can show itself in the form of stress, poor financial decisions, or maybe even avoidance of financial responsibility, right? For example, maybe the guy who would love to get married and have children, but he doesn't because he's afraid that he cannot provide for anybody other than himself. Hey, give me a guess if you've seen that before, right? So I want to kind of dig in what's in just a point of confession. I know my wife she always goes too deep into stuff like that. So I don't want you talking about me, but I'm gonna confess a financial demon I had about marriage. When I was 28, I met a nice lady who was older than me, who was financially secure, and I did not pursue the relationship because I said I'm broke. I only I only make $1,000 a month, and she was making probably $10,000 a month, and it made me feel very awkward. She had her own house and a nice car and all that, and it made me just feel like, gosh, this is not cool. And I don't think that was her at all. That was really me. Now, mind you, I'm glad I didn't marry her or date her or anything because I got to marry you. But still, like, I think little financial demons like that are things that we kind of overlook in terms of sort of seeing how our relationship with money shapes how we make decisions. So let me ask you this, babe. Based on what I said about financial demons, in your practice as a therapist, do you see a lot of money demons pop up in terms of maybe fears or anxieties or negative beliefs about money that may sabotage the thinking of the clients that you see and things like that? Or what in your experience as a therapist? I know you can talk about individual cases, and I don't want you to do that, but how often does that come up?
Well, financial demons is what, and other types of demons, we can take it in terms of your thoughts. That's what gets you into my office.
Mm.
It's the results. It's how it shows itself. And that's when people tend to be like, okay, I need to seek some help because I can't function every day. The stress is so overwhelming that I can't continue on with what's happening in my life. And so when it starts to become overwhelming, it's the consequences of attaching yourself to these financial demons. It's an attachment that you have to them, and it's a thought process. And it's interesting because with financial demons, the more you feed it, the bigger it gets. And you feed it in two ways. The first way you feed your financial demons is by avoiding it, is by just saying, you need to open up your credit card bill and you need to look at what you spent last month, which is what we're going to do after the month of May. It's crazy, right? You know that you have all of these issues that you need to deal with and you're avoiding them and you're not addressing them. And so what happens is that short term, you feel a relief, but long term, it ends up getting worse. So that's how the financial demons grow. Number one, by avoiding. And the second way financial demons grow is by fixating yourself on what you don't have and comparing yourself to others and say, I don't have this, I can't do this. It's this rumination that you have in your head about what you can and cannot get, what you think that you think. It's what you think that you cannot have. And that's the second way you feed these demons. These demons actually are energy that lives off of you. It attaches itself to you and it grows based on your fears.
Mm.
It's
Okay.
like the movie It. You ever see the movie? I love the movie It because
Uh-huh.
really, it is a perfect dramatization of what happens inside of us. You have to remember, ain't no devil in terms of how I see it in my work and how I see life in general. There is nothing outside of you. There is no devil. There is no demon. The real demon is your thoughts. And if you look
Mm.
at the movie it is a representation of what happens inside of all of us when we start feeding this demon. And
Mm.
that clown, it got bigger and better. It fed into their insecurities and it grew until one point in this movie. And it's when they stop and they turn around and they face that clown and they start beating that clown up and and they start attacking it.
Mhm.
And that's when the clown shrinks down into nothing and just goes away. It's the same horror film. All the horror films that we have is nothing about how it's nothing but how something gets attached to you. But Hollywood makes it seem like these scary people are doing something to you. There's nothing outside of you that's against you, really, other than your mind. And I really do mean it in terms of racism, white supremacy, believing that the white man is all that and they got everything and they're the desirable people. That's mind control. That's them feeding us the demons of this other thing is better than we.
Mm. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So one of the things I'm gonna lay out a theory here is one of the theories I have is that based on what you're saying and based on, movies like It and stuff like that, or maybe the movie Smile. You and I saw the
Smile,
movie
yeah.
Smile, which Smile's a really creepy movie where basically people you would witness somebody like doing something crazy like cutting their own throat with a big smile on their face and they'd be doing this. And it was a real creepy thing. And what we realized when we saw this movie was we said, "Oh, this movie is really about trauma. It's about how trauma
Yeah.
is contagious and how that causes us to, that we can that traumatized people can traumatize other people, and it becomes almost like a virus, right? So it almost seems like with money demons, one aspect of the money demon concept is that you're really also talking about, in my opinion, these preconceived beliefs that people have that really come from these generational curses that are passed down, right? Or perhaps a money demon might be a trauma that you experience because somebody financially traumatized you. Let me give you an example. I talk about this a lot in my book, The Ten Commandments of Black Economic Power. When you loan money to somebody that you trust and it's your cousin and you give them your last few dollars that you had stacked up to pay the rent or the mortgage, and your cousin just ghosts you or disappears and doesn't want to pay you back, and then every conversation becomes awkward after that. They yell at you and cut you out when you ask for your money back, and then so at the end you lose your money and you lose a loved one. That's very traumatic, and I think that can become a demon, because the way I see that demon manifest is people, they transform. It's like the demon possesses you now, right? You used to be Mr. Loving and trusting, and I want to help everybody. Then you become, nah, this is why I don't loan money to relatives. I don't care. I don't care what's going on with you. I almost feel like that's a transformation, right? Almost like a demon possessing you. I mean, what do you think, babe?
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't, I just don't recommend people loan money to anybody, really. I think that you should, if someone is in a dire situation and they really need money, you probably should just think about what you're comfortable parting ways with. What's an amount? All of us right now should think about, okay, what amount of money can I part ways with where it's not going to make a big difference to me? And that's how you need to think about working with people who are close to you in terms of money. Just give them the money. Just say, enjoy
Mhm.
yourself. I hope everything is okay, because listen, when you start you loan somebody money and you see them walk around with a new pair of shoes on, it's always going to create a dynamic. It's going to be like, okay, so this person can't give me back my money, but they can buy a new pair of shoes. Just, it's always, I recommend just try to avoid loaning somebody money anyway. But think about that. Think about how you feel when you have worked hard and you have been successful, and there's other people in your family who's not been successful. I mean, that's also a money demon as well, because there's this guilt that comes that you feel like survivor guilt, and you have made decisions and you have decided to structure your life in a way where you have success, but you don't understand that you worked really hard for it. It's not luck that got you where you are. It's, for many of us, it's hard work. And you start looking around at everybody else and you're successful and other people aren't successful. I mean, that's exactly, those thought process is also can be a financial demon as well, because you think, why me? Why am I so successful and other people aren't? So that, and you see it with a lot of celebrities, and definitely you see it with a lot of, especially when you talk about athletes who grew up in the neighborhood where it was a lot of poverty, and they become successful and they bring all their friends along. Now, it's okay to deal with it that way as long as you have good boundaries there. But it's other people who need to work just as hard as you. And they also need to, also show and prove that they have this, this ability to be able to come up with you. So I think it's beautiful to come up, bring everybody who's available and who's willing to do the work, but you still have to do the work, and there's no substitute for that.
Well, it's funny, and I think this is a good opportunity for you and I to see things from different perspectives. First off, when you said use that word recommend, like I recommend people do this.
I
One
do
thing I
recommend.
always
That's just
one
my
thing I
recommendation.
well, no, one thing, yeah, one thing I always tell everybody is I don't give financial advice. I don't, because you have to have a license for that. But then also, I don't want to tell you what to do. I'd rather establish a framework for you to use to make decisions. And I want you to just make sure when it comes to taking risk, because everything's risky. Money's risky, love is risky, trusting people is risky. And where I believe, where I find that people tend to be the most upset, at least I am. I know the times I'm most upset is when I was taking a risk I didn't know I was taking a risk with. I was going into something where I didn't know what it was. It's like if you're dating and you're expecting a relationship to lead to marriage, and the other party thinks it's a one night stand, then the problem is not so much whether or not a one night stand is better than a long term relationship. The problem is that there was a misunderstanding. People didn't know what they were getting into, and I bring that up because when I think about loaning money is an important part of a functioning economy. You have to loan money for an economy. If the banks all stop loaning money tomorrow, the entire US economy would crash in a way that was permanently damaging for the next 40, 50 years. Like if all the banks just said, we quit, we scared, we don't want to loan money to nobody because y'all don't be paying nobody back. Um, the economy would not function anymore. You have to have lending. Whenever you look at wealthy families, when we were talking about that segment of India where they own all the hotels, 40% of the hotels in America, they loan each other money. They do. The difference is that they have a code of conduct where they have a process that they go through. If you don't pay somebody back, you don't pay back cousin so and so, oh, they're gonna come get you for that. You're gonna have to deal with that. And so to me, when I think about loaning money, I look at it as obviously you shouldn't loan money to everybody, and then also you have to know what you're getting into, right?
But
Because
that's not
because
a personal loan. What you're talking, I'm referring to personal loans. What you're referring to is like business loans, and I think that's different. You should
I,
make a different.
I do agree with that.
Yeah,
I agree with that. You're right. You're right. But
yeah.
what I will say too, though, is here's where I'm going to definitely agree with you about loaning money. Why you should be skeptical about it. Remember this: most of us are pretty much products of our habits. Our life is a manifestation of the choices you make, the habits you have, and the way that you think. Like if I weigh 400 pounds, you can look at me and pretty much guess what my eating habits probably are, right? Most of the time, right? It doesn't make, I'm not dissing anybody, but that's just true. Or if I'm in really great shape, you can look at me and see, or if I live in a big mansion, you can see that I probably did something financially that got me in that mansion. So when you see a person, and how many of y'all, give me a yes or no, give me a yes in the chat if you can think of a relative who always has financial problems. Give me a yes if you know, if you think, I want you to think about that cousin who always is behind on the rent. who's
And don't go
always
up to them. Don't go up to them and say you got financial demons or money
no, no,
demons.
no, no,
Don't
no. I'm
say
not
that
saying
to
that. No, no, no.
people.
But let me finish this. Let me finish this in that. Let me finish this
Uh-huh.
analogy, and then I'm gonna hand the ball back to you, babe. I want you to give me a yes if you can think of that cousin who's always behind on the rent, who's always an inch away from being evicted, who's always got a trauma story, a scary story, who's all and doesn't even know that their role in the process. It's always somebody else's fault. It's always temporary. It's always just this one time, right? And so really, to your point about not loaning money to people, you got to understand that it was their bad financial habits and choices that got them to where they are right now. So, by definition, to some extent, at least 8 times out of 10, when you make that loan to that cousin who's always struggling financially, that is a bad loan because that person in your mind should have bad credit because you can see that they're making bad choices. So your odds of really getting your money back are probably much lower than you think, but maybe you can't see that because they sound so convincing when they tell you it's just this one time. I'm gonna pay you as soon as I get my check on Tuesday, and it's really Uncle Rerun's fault. I don't have any money. So my point is to say that's where I agree with you. That maybe in that situation, again, it's not me telling you not to do it. It's me saying make sure you know what you're getting into. So if I know I'm loaning money to a deadbeat or who doesn't know that they're a deadbeat, I'm not going to tell them they're a deadbeat. They're already feeling pretty bad. I don't want to make them feel worse. Then I might loan that money knowing that it's a gift. So you say, hey, I need $1,000 by Tuesday. I might say, okay, here's 150 bucks. Here's my contribution because I'm not prepared to give you $1,000 or $500 or some number that's really going to set me back. And I think that's where the trauma. And you can give me your thoughts on what I just said, babe. But I think that's where the trauma kicks in is where you loan that person an amount of money you're not comfortable giving away, and you need that money back, and then they don't deliver, and then you're scared. Now you're the one who's financially unstable because you were
Hmm.
climbing up a ladder. You reached down to pull them up, and they pulled you off the ladder. So now you're freaking out because now both of y'all in financial trouble. That's what I've seen happen many times. What do you think about that?
Yeah, that's so fascinating that okay, so I'm gonna put my I'm gonna speak from the position of the lender, of the person who has seen the heartache in another individual. They've connected to that and they've decided that they need to be the hero in somebody else's story.
Mm,
They themselves feel like they need to be the hero in someone else's story. So, in that sense, the loaner, the individual with the money, is in a up position. And then they feel like I can help this person out, not really to help that person out, maybe, but also it is a feel good moment for them. So there's a lot of individuals who use their money and their position of power, not necessarily to help that person, because sometimes you cannot help somebody by opening up your checkbook. Sometimes when you look at situations and you see somebody in these dire situations, you cannot help them by opening up your checkbook and just writing a check. If you could write a check and help people out of their misery, it would be so much easier. It depends on how you look at the situation and how you assess the situation, because sometimes other people's sort of issues is a way where you can jump in and be the hero so that you can feel good. So you really do, it's a dynamic process. You really do need to think about what is driving your behavior, that you feel like you need to save everybody. And
mm,
ultimately, nobody can save anybody. And I hate to put it that way. As a therapist, I want to say that I can help save everybody, but I really don't think I can. I know that what I can do is I can help people. I can give them the map and I can give them the compass of how to have a successful relationship, how to be healthy in their interactions with other people. But it's up to them to use all the evidence-based practice that I know, because that's what I operate on as a therapist. They can use those things. They have to, outside of the sessions, do the work. They have to decide, okay, I'm going to make a change and I'm going to face this demon, because all demons are negative thoughts. I'm going to face my negative thoughts about this situation. I'm going to look at it directly and I'm going to shrink it down Face it directly. Someone wrote in the chat the shadow side. They're spot on, whoever that person was. I can't remember their name, but that's the shadow side of you. And when you avoid and when you fixate on things, that is when that shadow grows. But when you start thinking about not what you don't have, but what you do have, and address that, that is what grows. I don't know. Should we call it a financial angel? Maybe money angels. Money angels all around you. Abundance is around you, but you have to see it in your everyday life. And you have to empathize with other people who haven't quite gotten there. So I was saying that, interrupting you. I'm sorry to say, you don't talk to somebody and say, you got a financial demon. That's not what you do to other people. Because the point of this on Sunday morning is not to save anybody else. The point of this is to use these tools that Boyce talks about every morning, is to use these concepts and incorporate it into your own life. That's the point. You can send people the link and ask them to join, but it's up to them if they're going to click on the link, if they're going to listen to this, if they're going to incorporate all of this into their life.
Well, okay. So, by the way, I want to mention to everybody that we're talking about money demons today, and money demons are pretty much any sorts of fears, anxieties, negative beliefs about money that sabotage your financial well-being. In fact, let's do a quick poll. I want everybody to give me a yes if you can think of at least one money demon that you may have that keeps you from reaching your goal. Give me a yes if you have one fear that's really held you back. Give me a yes if you have maybe some anxieties that hold you back. Give me a yes if you have some negative beliefs about money that were passed down to you that have held you back. Maybe, like for example, you should go to college and give $200,000 away of your money, and so you can get a job that you hate. Again, I'm not saying that this happens to most people, but this is one belief that maybe should be adjusted a little bit. Not because college is bad, because I don't think it's bad, but because maybe that isn't giving us what we want. Also, I want you to give me a yes if you have some sort of psychological barrier that maybe comes from a past experience that involve money, maybe a past trauma, maybe something related to society pressures, pressures in terms of what you do with your money, how to use your money. In fact, I'm gonna lay this out, babe, and I want you to kind of take this in the direction of one limiting belief about money that plagues a lot of people. Have y'all? I don't know if y'all have ever heard me talk about this, but I brought it up a long time ago. One time on SNL, they did a segment called Black Jeopardy. And my wife is laughing because she knows how it just irked me so bad. And they had Leslie Jones, the comedian, and she was on this show called Black Jeopardy. And in Black Jeopardy, I remember they had two black people and a white guy. I think the white guy was Tom Hanks. And so if you remember, in the show Jeopardy, what they do is they ask you the question and then you give the answer. So the question was something like, um, they give you the answer and then you state the question. That's what I meant to say. So the answer was, your boss wants to take $50 out of your check every week for your 401k. And I think Tom Hanks was, the white guy's like, you say absolutely or whatever, right? Like you put, you want to invest. And Leslie Jones goes, "Brrr," and she says, you better give me my money so I can buy me some scratch offs. And that was really it wasn't it didn't make me laugh, right? I'm sure people thought it was funny because they're like, yeah, that's what black people be doing. We be spending our money on scratch offs. Yeah, well, that's why you ain't got no money in your 401k, right? Because somebody told us that makes sense, but they're kind of positioning us for a lot of long-term financial anxiety. I've seen people who become millionaires off their 401k, but by maxing it out at an early age. You max that thing out at 22, 23 years old. When you hit retirement, you're very wealthy. And remember that you don't just get the benefit when you retire. You're financially secure for a good 20 or 30 years even before retirement because you've got hundreds of thousands of dollars sitting over to the side in case you lose your job, in case you really need the money, in case you want to buy a home, in case you want to quit your job, or in case something bad happens. So let me ask you about this, babe. So what is your assessment in terms of what I just said about that Black Jeopardy thing? I feel like that's kind of a money demon that some parts of our culture, what we call the culture, it can be a little bit anti-wealth, because you don't see a lot of wealth coming from the culture. What do you say to that?
Yeah, I mean, that was a really sad display. And I know so many people that would do that, so that's why I would chuckle a little bit when I saw it. I was like, I chuckled initially, and then I was like, oh, that's pretty sad. They just really, that hurt. I mean, to me, it just really hurt because she is representing Black women when she's on SNL. Any Black woman on media represents subconsciously all Black women. So for her to say that, she's representing in the minds of other people and in our minds as well on a subconscious level, she's representing how we feel about ourselves and a part of us that just want instant money and a scratch off. That's exciting. I love going to the casino. Going to the casino, that's exciting, quick money, but that's not long term. And it's sad when you think about it the second time. So your initial reaction is to giggle, but then you think about it more and you're like, dang, that hurts. It really hurts that that's what we put our nest egg in, spending our money at the track. I had an uncle who would be at the track all the time, spending his money. I mean, if he had invested, he would have, before he passed away, he could have left his kids some money, some actual money. And it's sad because that is a money demon in our culture. And it's so fascinating how money demons are really just negative thoughts and beliefs about money and thinking that we don't have enough and thinking that we can't do enough. And money demons is also in how we spend. You see it in how we spend. We want to have social approval and respect of others. And unfortunately, we live in a culture where you are respected if you have, and not only if you have money, but if you spend it in this elaborate sort of way, you get this social approval and respect. And that's the thing where that's the sad part about it. Because I mean, I know millionaires that walk around and they just have on regular t-shirt and jeans. You wouldn't even know they were millionaires, but they walking around and they're just happy with themselves. They don't feel like they need to have to flaunt it or go to the club or go to VIP section and spend a ridiculous amount of money on the weekend. It's just insane what people do. And that's us running a program. We're running a program that's been given to us and reinforced by SNL. Thank you, SNL, for reinforcing that in us. It's terrible.
Well, it does create kind of this weird awkwardness where when you start doing things that are healthy, you start doing things that are smart and savvy and embrace delayed gratification over instant gratification. And it's really unfortunate when you run into somebody who is so possessed by their own money demons that they literally accuse you of not acting Black, like you acting white, and like or like and that happens a lot. You have people that make healthy choices, and then somebody says, "Oh, you think you white, or you think you better than everybody else," and I know I've gone through that. I don't know if anybody else has ever gone through that, but I've gone through that. If you
It's
uh,
crazy.
yeah. Just even when and I mean, just when I just think about like even when I created this platform to, sort of do what we do, I remember I would say this is the home for intelligent Black people, and you remember when Kwame Brown, the NBA player, was like you uppity, you think you better than everybody else, and I'm like, well, what's wrong with being intelligent? Like, would you feel better if I said this is the platform for stupid Black people? You a sellout. What are you talking about? Like that you don't like the word
Yeah.
intelligent? Like that was so strange to me. And I really would say that that is a self-esteem issue. If you think that being Black means you're supposed to be ignorant, then just go sign yourself up for slavery. I mean, you would do well in 1702. Massa would love you. You would do quite well on the plantation you are under all these constant threats. There are so many people that want to control you, that want to extract things from you, they want to harm you, they want to incarcerate you. They don't even they want your son dead. They want to own your entire family. So why would you go into a battlefield like that where threats are everywhere and then want to be ignorant, blind, deaf, dumb, and stupid? That don't even make no sense. I mean that's completely illogical. And so circling back to just money demons, babe, when I see a money demon, I think of it like like the movie The Exorcist, where the demon possesses you.
Yeah.
And in my view, when you have not healed, when you have experienced horrific amounts of trauma as a child, like lots of us do, and you're carrying all this with you, and you explained to me, by the way, my wife is a certified trauma specialist, right? By the way, she did get a certification. I remember you got the certification because she talks to me a lot, and I try my best to listen, and you were telling me things as you were learning them. I remember you telling me about how trauma like literally kills you, how traumatized people have all these physical health issues, mental health issues. And a lot of us, once you understand trauma, you can identify traumatized people when you see them. It's that person who's going to cut you out over a bowl of Cheerios. Maybe it's that person who sprints away every time they run into a healthy relationship, right? Just whatever. Or who takes a molehill and turns it into a mountain, whatever. And it's kind of like one of these things where um these demons do possess us. And if you imagine me being possessed by a demon, I'm not really who God meant for me to be. I'm not, I'm who Satan meant for me to be. I'm who the devil wants me to be. I'm showing up and I'm like, ah, yeah, that demon may come from some anxiety or some fear, or perhaps it comes from drugs and alcohol, some bad habits that I have. Maybe it comes from my failures of the past or things that haunt me. Maybe it comes from societal pressure. I was listening to my favorite rapper who told me that I'm supposed to disrespect women, stay high and drunk all the time, beat people up if they make me mad, and make poor decisions, right? But to me, that's what I see. I see the demons possessing us. And to me, to be healthy, you got to do an exorcism. You got to exercise. The more you exercise those demons out of your body, I think the better you are, like the healthier you are, and the better of a human being you are, for not just for others, but also for yourself. What do
Yeah,
you think?
it's so crazy. You're talking about the financial demons. I remember going to college and I had a this white boy in my one of my classes, and he had on like dirty gym. He had on old gym shoes. And where I come from, like, why would you be wearing old shoes? And in my mind, I'm making fun of him because he got on these raggedy shoes. But as I got to talk to him, I'm like, this man is wealthy. And in my mind, it's just like, why would you have all that money and still wear these? Like, you should get a brand new pair of shoes. I was like, you need to go now and get the shoes because I cannot understand. Like, in my mind, it was just like the first thing I would do if I had money or if I came from a family with a whole lot of money is I'd have on some nice shoes. I would not walk around like that. And I think, like, in white boy land, maybe that makes him feel more wholesome and more genuine. I have no idea, but I couldn't understand it for the life of me. And I'm just looking back on that. I'm like, what was wrong with me back then? But that was where I came from. And so I think the best way to get rid of the financial demons is, number one, to recognize that it's there. Most people don't understand how they don't reflect on what they do and how they spend their money and what they feel like it's important. So I really do think that we need to reflect. We need to reflect on instances and become very self-aware, be able to connect the dots. Because listen, Boyce just talked about trauma, and I just want to say something about trauma. Trauma is not because a bad thing happened to you. That's not trauma. Trauma is when something happens to you and you disconnect from how you feel, and you disconnect and you can't connect your current behavior with what's happened to you in the past that's triggering you. You don't understand that. That's when it shows up as trauma. So the best way to get rid of the financial demons is self-awareness and insight. Is being able to understand. You can do the exorcism on yourself. Basically you do. I ask questions like, tell me what happened. Why did you react so strongly to this? What was it reminiscent of? And you have these conversations in a place to process all of these unfortunate things that happen to you so that you don't disconnect from it and you walk around as a traumatized person and spending your money impulsively on these things meant to cover up the pain that you feel inside.
Mm. Well, and it is that covering up the pain
Mm-hmm.
makes sense, particularly when you consider that money is a drug. Money, receiving money makes you feel good. Not having enough money can create anxiety, just like a drug.
Or the
Have you
belief that you don't have enough money.
say it again? Oh yeah,
The
the belief.
belief that you don't have enough money.
There we go. And it's like if you imagine how a crackhead must feel when they can't get no crack. There's a lot of
Oh,
anxiety attached to that, right?
but let me tell you, nobody is better at getting money than somebody who's on drugs. They are really good at manipulation.
Yeah, yeah.
Excellent at manipulation. They are. I mean, I have seen just remarkable performances from people who are on drugs, manipulate others to get money out of them. It's their entire life. As soon as they wake up in the morning, they're like, how am I going to get my next fix? Who am I going to call? What sad story am I going to tell so this person can give me some money? What do I need to do? And they execute. Nobody has more clear vision and execution than a drug addict. It is really remarkable what they do.
Well,
So,
well, I'll tell you, it's you are right. I mean, when I think about the financial crackhead, though, like just the person
oh yeah.
that has various financial addictions where money is used as a way to ease certain pain, it makes you think about the study by Professor Andrew Lowe at MIT, where he talked about how money affects the part of your brain that is also affected by cocaine. And so, to me, I'm also thinking about it in terms of just this idea that that making certain choices that may not be healthy for me allows me to heal pain that exists because I'm carrying these demons around, and the demons have to be fed. So the demon might be a gambling addiction. The demon might be fear or anxiety. I think other demons, one demon that plagues a big part of the community I've noticed is scarcity. Scarcity, when you talk about scarcity thinking versus abundance thinking, a
Mm.
person who thinks in terms of scarcity is going to fight you over resources. They're going to compete with you when they could collaborate with you. They're going to hate on you when they should be congratulating you. Because why? Well, because they see whatever you're getting, whatever you have, whatever you're doing as a reflection of why they don't have what they want. Or you getting something means there's less of it for them. You get a good man, she's upset because she can't get the same thing you get, or you're doing well and making money. Well, now your success reflects on my lack of success. So to me, an abundance mindset might come from I would argue that a less traumatized person is more likely to have an abundance mindset and to say, look, there's enough for everybody. I want to see you win. I'm happy for you. And I've seen this just even in terms of just even business. When I would think about collaborating with someone, it's mutually supporting each other. But then I see them and I'm like, wow, this person's really competing with me. Like they feel that they can only be successful if they tear me down or something. And I just think that to me that's a demon. The scarcity mindset. Remember, Europeans brought that scarcity mindset to Africa. And you saw what they did to Africa. The Africans were open and trusting. They said, look, there's plenty of fruit, there's plenty of
There's
gold,
an
there's plenty of
abundance in Africa.
right,
Yeah.
there's plenty of lumber, whatever you want. We got it. And the
And
Europeans
that
are like,
becomes part of your culture. I mean,
mm,
just think about how the Europeans came in and just invaded Africa.
mhm,
It's because think about Europe. It's a cold rock. Nothing grows in Europe. Nothing's colder. I mean, I enjoy Europe for the culture and everything, but I just do not. That place is it's cloudy. It's always cold in my mind. Like I've never been to a beautiful tropical, beautiful vacation
mm,
in Europe where the weather was great. Like the people are great and the culture and everything, but the weather is just not always take a jacket. You can be in,
mm.
January. I mean, July, June, you're gonna need a jacket in Europe. So I mean, that part was just kind of unusual for me. And then I start thinking about the climate and how everything is just so nourishing, the soil, everything. Like you throw a seed somewhere, it's going to grow, and there's an abundance. So that's what's put into our culture as Black people. And I really do think that we need to actively work on getting back to who we are as originals. I'm talking about as indigenous populations. I spend a lot of time sitting with the indigenous mindset, and I love spending my time meditating and focusing on the music of indigenous people. Nothing is more uplifting than listening to music and sounds that heal the body, did not tear us down. So, all day yesterday, sorry, boys, had to listen to my indigenous music that I had to play, but it's positive. It's beautiful. It tells you you can do it. And all of that has an effect. It all has an effect on how you see life. So I love taking out time in this westernized society and sitting with Native American tribes and listening
Mm.
to the indigenous, because I know that's who I am originally. I'm so
Okay,
connected to it that I know it. I'm getting
all
off
right.
into Just woo woo, boys.
So it's okay. It's okay. So if you have a question for Dr. Alicia, put your question inside the Q&A section, and we're gonna go through the question. Make the question short if you can. That way we can get everybody's question. Also, Alicia's website. She sees clients on an individual basis. She sees couples. She also sees families. So if you'd like to go take a look at what she does, you can go to coachingwithdralicia.com. That's coachingwithdralicia.com. And if you go to drboycebooks.com, she has workbooks on things like financial anxiety, and some other things that relate to relationships in particular. So if you go to drboycebooks.com, we have a whole section on love and money. We call it the Love and Money Lab. And you can go in there and dig in and find stuff that can help you not just have healthier relationships, but maybe deal with what's going on internally when it comes to your finances and all that stuff. Because you gotta fix it, you gotta heal if you want to grow, if you want to evolve and become a better person. So let me just sort of jump back to the guilt. I've heard you talk a lot about guilt and shame. And
Oh,
one thing I've noticed in terms of a money demon that can affect a lot of people is maybe guilt or shame about mistakes that were made, right? Give me a yes in the chat if you have financial mistakes that are just embarrassing. Give me a yes in the chat if you have come back from a terrible credit score, or you're trying to come back and you're just so ashamed of it, you don't even want to look at it. Or maybe you're so far behind on certain bills, you're just like, oh my God, I can't even, I'm not even going to open it. Or maybe you have shame about maybe you're an investor and you have shame. I don't know about y'all, but I'm gonna tell you what. I'll start off by admitting my source of shame and embarrassment. I'm embarrassed by the fact that I didn't just hold on to my Bitcoin back in like 2014, 2015. I think I sold it and then I made all these adjustments, and I'm like, boys, all you do, all you do is sit on it. Just you were doing too much. Right? So I make mistakes. We all do, right? And that mistake I made was more so driven by some of the things that I talked to you all about, which was basically, I think as the market was moving, I said, okay, well, maybe this Bitcoin thing isn't going to work out. But I know people, starting with my wife, who literally bought the Bitcoin in like 2015 or 2016 and didn't even look at it for 6 or 7, 8 years. And then next thing you know, I think you made $100 investment. It turned into almost $1,000. And that is the best way to invest. So that's the source of shame and embarrassment I
no,
have.
I feel guilty because I couldn't find my password. I had to reset my password to go back into my account. It had been so long since I've been in there. That
Yeah,
was
yeah,
funny.
yeah, and I think that there's just a lot of there is a
Yeah.
lot of shame because you maybe for a lot of us you start off struggling financially, you don't always know what to do, you make mistakes for emotional reasons, maybe because you have a short-term temporary problem and you handled it in a way that had some long-term implications. Maybe your student loans leave you feeling a little bit guilty and angry because of whatever. So what about guilt and shame? How did tell me about that in your practice, and when you confront that when somebody's just feeling really guilty and bad about mistakes they made in the past that they can't go back and fix, how do you even approach that?
Yeah, I mean, well, guilt and shame are two different things. And from a clinical perspective, guilt is basically when you do something wrong and you feel bad about that particular act and you work to try to correct it. So suppose my scenario I like to give is suppose you are there's an office building and you work at this office and you everybody parks, everybody's coming in and out of the parking lot and everyone's parking. So if you drive into this parking lot and you hit somebody's car as you're pulling in, you hit the side door, it's a little bit of a dent. It's what are you going to do about that? So guilt says you feel guilty. You say, you know what? I am going to go into the office. I did this. I'm going to go into the office and maybe talk to the receptionist and ask the receptionist, do you know whose car this is? And if they do, maybe they connect you to the person, the owner of the car, and you go up and you say, hey, I just hit your car. Here's my insurance information. I'm really sorry about that. Boom. That's guilt, right? Where
Mm.
shame is something where shame is where you think, what is wrong with me? There's something wrong with me. Maybe that's the first time you've hit a car or something, or maybe you've hit a bunch of different cars and then you're just like, oh my God, there's something wrong with me. Why am I getting to these car accidents? And it kind of can carry itself out in a sense where you don't necessarily feel guilty, but you may tell yourself, what do you tell yourself in the midst of that shame? Where some people can say, you know what? I'm not going to feel shame because I don't get into car accidents. This is a one-off. But shame happens when you say, you know what? Maybe I've been hitting people every time I pull into a parking lot. There's something wrong with me. I need to kind of fix it because I need to start learning how to drive better, or I need to figure out how to pull into this parking spot better. Now, the thing where unhealthy shame comes in, where I talk about it in my office, is where you feel shamed and what you do with it. You say, you know what? I think there's something wrong with this person. Why would they park their car that way? I wouldn't have hit them. You're not taking responsibility for what you've done. Okay. You say, you know what? I never would have hit them if they hadn't been parking their car sideways. So what's wrong with these people in the way they parking? See, I wouldn't have done it. You take no accountability and no responsibility because you can't deal with the shame. It's too powerful for you to deal with that shame because it's tied to so much insecurities. And I see that a lot in my office, particularly with romantic relationships where you've done something to your partner and you know you shouldn't have done, and there's so much shame attached to it. You feel like such a terrible person that you cannot apologize to your loved one by something that you did. Your actions caused someone else to feel this way. You need to feel guilty about it. But some people come from such a place of shame in a clinical sense that they can't take responsibility for what they've done.
Mm. Okay, wow, that's giving me a
Yeah.
lot to think about. Okay, so shame
No
is
accountability.
okay, so the shame might appear as me sort of creating a belief that something's wrong with me because I did something for which maybe I should feel some sort of guilt.
It's
So
your
so it's almost like
behavior. It's not being able to disconnect. You disconnect, I did something wrong with I am wrong. It's the
okay.
behavior attached to that. And what you do if you feel level of shame, and a lot of it is parenting. That's just
Hmm.
parenting that instilled in you, there's something wrong with you. Okay, you make a mistake, all children make mistakes. And as parents, we need to correct their behavior and say, I love you dearly. You're a beautiful person who made this mistake. Let's see if we can fix it, right? That's what you want to give your children. But when you say, what's wrong with you? You must be stupid. People calling you names and putting you down. You have so much shame attached to that, that when you're an adult, you can't have relationships with anybody because you're making mistakes and you're not accountable to it. And some people
Mm.
call it narcissism and narcissist. It is a narcissistic trait, but I refuse. I don't want to put it in those words because that's a clinical word. All of us, we shouldn't be using that on a daily basis. But
Hmm.
it's just not being able to say, did behaved in this way, and I need to make it right.
Okay, so put that in the context of money and money demons. Like, so
Yeah.
so are you saying that my shame of mistakes I made for which I should feel guilty, that internalizing that shame can create a demon that might affect my choices going forward? That because I'm ashamed that I kept a bad credit score, I see myself as financially irresponsible, which and because maybe I don't want to deal with the shame, maybe I avoid certain things, like because it almost sounds to me like you're saying the shame isn't required. Maybe guilt is okay, but shame is not required because shame is almost like that internalization of guilt to say something's wrong with me as opposed to
Mhm.
something's wrong with what I did. And when
Mhm.
you carry that shame, that becomes the demon that possesses you, that then causes you to engage in avoidant behavior because you don't want to confront the shame, or you don't want to confront the bad feelings that may come with that
Yeah,
shame. Is that
because
is
you
that kind of
feel
what you're
so
saying?
ashamed, you fall apart every time you make a mistake. No one expects you to be perfect, but you put that on
Mm,
yourself, this level of perfection that you have on yourself because you're too ashamed. You're too ashamed, and you make a catastrophe just because you had a bad month or something. It's not a catastrophe. Things ebb and flow all the time. That's a universal law, right? Hermetic principles. You also study Hermetic principles. It's a law. What goes up is going to go down. And you have to be able to figure out how to ride the waves without internalizing it and thinking there's something wrong with you.
mm-hmm. Now that's I think I get that concept. I know that
Mhm.
professionally, kind of dealing with something that it feels like shame is what allowed me to really do what I do. Like I remember when I would go on TV and do stuff, you're always so scared in the beginning that you're gonna make a mistake or say something stupid or get
Mhm.
something wrong. And I remember just kind of saying, just because I get something wrong doesn't mean I'm not qualified.
That's right.
Just because I make a mistake doesn't mean I don't know what I'm doing. Everybody makes mistakes, and
Hmm.
nobody's any better than me. Other people make mistakes, and they don't. It's not the end of their careers. They don't walk away in shame and give up. You just keep coming back, right? So that to me is really, I almost feel like what you're saying about guilt and shame is also connected to self-love. Like in my view, this was literally my processing. And again, I'm not a therapist, but I think that we are our own best therapist. So what gave me a lot of confidence, not fake confidence. I don't have to pretend to be confident. I really am confident in what I do and what I know. What gave me confidence was not this false belief that I'm perfect. What gave me confidence was having enough self-love to forgive myself when my imperfections show up.
Uh-huh.
When my flaws pop out and I do something stupid and I say, "Oh man, dang, I really messed that up." It's all right. We're gonna go right back at it because I
Mhm.
love Boyce, and if you love something, you'll never give up on that thing. You'll
Yeah,
never
and
give
you
up on that person.
and you apologize. You're good at apologizing too, Boyce. You can say, "Oh gosh, I'm so sorry. How can we make this right? How can we
Yeah.
make this right and let's just move on?" That is beautiful. Nothing's worse than when somebody does something and they go into this place of shame and they never apologize. They say, "Well, I wouldn't have done it if you hadn't have done that. I wouldn't have done it if you hadn't done that. I wouldn't have done it. It wasn't just on me. If you hadn't done this," where you start to just in your mind, because the shame is so painful for you, because
Mm.
it's of course reminiscent of how you were treated when you were younger, and you start seeing that person as a parent, and you start saying, "No, no, I wouldn't," and you feel like you need to defend yourself instead of just saying, "Yes, it was a mistake. I did it wrong. I feel sorry. Let's move on." And
I do agree,
that's the
but
beauty
I'm
of
gonna
it.
tell you one area where I'm going to challenge that a little bit is sometimes I feel like I need to defend myself. There's like if someone comes up to, and I get it, I hear what you're saying. I want to hear your perspective on this, but if somebody comes up and says you stole my purse and I didn't steal your purse, my first reaction is going to be like, no, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry that you think I stole your purse, but I didn't do it. Right.
No,
And
well,
I,
what
and
you say, yeah.
so
Mhm.
go ahead. I want to hear your perspective on, but that's, I think defending yourself is okay too in some situations. Like, I don't think being defenseless works, right? What do you think?
No, I mean, you ask them the question. You say, "Okay, wait, you think I stole your purse?" The best thing,
Mm,
it's a reaction to be defensive. All of us get defensive, but you have to stop yourself and you have to say, "Okay, what information do you have that makes you think I stole your purse?
mhm,
What information did you gather to make you conclude that I stole your purse?" And hear that person out,
mm,
because that is where a lot of problems can really be dissolved between individuals, is the other person doesn't feel like they've heard the other person out. So you hear the person out and you say, "Wait, you saw me on video? Show me the video." And then you look at the video, you'd be like, "What day? I wasn't here on that day. I wasn't
mm,
in the parking lot. Maybe it's a video of the park. You hit my car. Okay, well, oh, there was cameras out there. Show me the camera of me hitting your car, because I really want to hear how you came to this conclusion." Do that instead of defensive, because it's
mm,
these beautiful conversations that are never had between individuals, and they just start fighting each other, and it escalates. It doesn't have to. And in the
Okay.
moment where you really feel defensive, that's a signal to yourself to stop and say, "How did you come to that? What information did you gather?" Because it could be that that person really did see a video of you stealing their purse. And then you can clearly say, "Yes, I totally understand why you thought it was me. But guess what? I wasn't even there. That was somebody else that looked like me. Let me show you. I totally get, let's work together and find out." I don't know. You don't have to work together with somebody to find out who stole their purse, but you can definitely give them some empathy.
Okay. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
and it's funny. It reminds me when Oprah said a long time ago, where she said everybody just wants to be heard,
Yeah.
and I think that was a really wise thing for her to say. And so I think that really that all these emotions you mentioned, guilt and shame and everything else, sometimes can make us dismissive of other people, and that doesn't work. And then sort of circling that back around to the financial stuff, um, in terms of money demons, I really think that being able to have a healthy way to process those feelings that we may have, the guilt and the shame of bad financial choices and just
Yeah.
the outcomes, I think that goes a long way in being your best self and being able
Fix
to,
it.
yeah, being able to, right. So either you can fix the past or maybe you can't fix the past. But either way, I think self-love love is powerful. Love goes a long way. And I think and I would encourage you to love yourself enough to say, God is not through with me yet. I ain't perfect. And y'all have heard me say that. Y'all have heard me say, look, hey, just chalk it up to my imperfections. Because I know I'm good at what I do, and I'm proud of that. I'm proud that I worked so hard to become good at this. But at the same time, that self love is huge in that because you never become perfect at anything. And so don't give up on yourself, so don't give up on yourself because you got a bad credit score. Don't give up on yourself because the student loans have buried you. Don't or you feel like they buried you. Don't give up on yourself because you don't know everything you need to know. Keep pouring into yourself. You are the best investment you will ever make. And then one of the other best investments you'll ever make is the people that you love and the people you care about. So you pour into them with knowledge and preparation and information and everything else. And then eventually that turns into resources. It turns into action. And that's how you succeed financially. That's how you get rid of those money demons and you start operating on a higher frequency. And that's what economic awareness is all about. Economic awareness is partly driven by self-awareness, driven by consciousness, being aware and conscious of all the things that might keep you from getting to where you want to get to. So dealing with the money demons, I think, is something that we all have to do. So, babe, I want you to get the last word. I want to mention everybody. Dr. Alicia Watkins. Her website is coachingwithdralicia.com. So feel free to go to her site if you want to see what she does as a therapist, and she meets with couples, individuals, and families. So that's coachingwithdralicia.com. Also, I have this book called Financial Lovemaking, and she and I actually created this 5-day love challenge. If you guys want to take a look, if you go to
Okay.
boyceandalicia.com, remember that, babe? We
I
did that
do
about
remember
two,
that.
three, about 3, 4 years ago, but it's really good. So feel free to go to boyceandalicia.com. You get a free copy of my book, Financial Lovemaking. And also, if you want to get other resources from Dr. Alicia, you can actually text the word love to 87948. So she does a lot of good stuff on relationships and in addition to financial therapy. So babe, why don't I'll let you get the last word. Any parting thoughts you want to share?
Yeah, I'm really thinking right now, even making a financial mistake doesn't make you a financial mistake, right?
Right.
And I think that when I say you can correct it, you can just say, "Oh, that was terrible. Let me fix it by adjusting things. Things need to be calibrated in your financial life all the time, and take out time to focus on your finances. It doesn't have to be every day, Boyce. Boyce talks about finances and focuses on it every day, but that's fine for him. Okay. But I really do think that you should schedule whatever's comfortable for you to just fix it and stop ruminating on the past. That rumination and really get to the point where you can process things and you feel like you processed it out, these terrible things that have happened to you financially, and you can get to a place where you can have compassion for yourself and you can have grace for yourself, but you now know better and now you can do better going forward. Absolutely. So that's what I would tell people.
That's
Yeah.
right. All right. Awesome. All right. Let's do better, be better. Let's fight
Know
off the
better.
demons. The money demons hit all of us. And so if you want that, just sort of a quick summary of the money demons you may want to investigate, and maybe this is something we can go deeper into. Maybe we can develop
Yeah.
a class around this or something. But I would just to give you some ideas on where you might look for those money demons. One might be scarcity, having a scarcity mindset. They may cause you to have insecurities that they get in the way of progress, like jealousy and or competing with people that you should be collaborating with, guilt over spending or things like that, or maybe debt or mistakes that you made in the past. Guilt and shame are big factors. Also, maybe anxiety over things like debt or income or financial instability. Financial anxiety is very big. If you go to drboycebooks.com, Dr. Alicia has a workbook to help you work through and analyze and become aware of any financial anxiety you may have. She did a whole financial anxiety workbook. So feel free to go to drboycebooks.com and you can scroll down to the love and money section. Maybe a fear of failure. Anybody got a fear of failure? Just I'm good. I'm scared to go start this business because I'm scared this business is not going to work. Well, I get that. Everybody feels that way, and it's really hard to imagine putting a lot of time and money into something and have it not work out. It's tough, it's embarrassing, and you don't get a lot of support. You don't have a lot of people in the family saying, go, go, go. You have a lot of people sitting back saying, I can't, I'm just waiting for that Negro to fail. When they fail, I'm gonna sit back and I'm gonna tell them why they did. And it's always the people that ain't doing nothing that do the most talking. So having a process to sort of get to that point is, I think, a really big deal. And actually, if you want to look into like a business that you can start that doesn't fail, again, go to drboyceprime.com. Those are a lot of Prime members are in this class right now, and you can say something in the chat. Drboyceprime.com. I think that whole idea of starting your business by selling stock options is really, in my view, the most effective, most superior way to starting a business, or the most superior method I've ever seen, because the business is highly liquid, it doesn't require any work, and you start making income from day one. You just need a capital base. So if you want to go take a look at that, feel free to go to drboyceprime.com, or if you text the word money to 87948, I'll send you a free training called How to Make Money Without Working. It is highly, highly efficient. It is literally how I make my money. Errol's, and I see Errol, James, I see you all. So yeah, so feel free to just talk to the other students that are in the class. I like that better than the other method, because the other method was you throw a bunch of money at it, you work your butt off, you wait a year or two, and then maybe you make some money, right? And that's really a hard way to get ahead. So to me, I was like, oh gosh, I should have been doing this when I was 20. So teach this stuff to your kids so they can do it when they're 20 instead of wasting 20 or 30 years like the rest of us did. Other areas where a financial demon or money demon might show up might be, maybe you avoid making plans because you're having trouble dealing with instant gratification versus delayed gratification. Instant gratification and the dopamine release, the good feelings that you get from sleeping and chilling when you could have been working a little bit, or eating the wrong foods when you could have been eating healthy, or just making unhealthy choices when you really want to sort of think about the long term. I think that's a demon too. That instant gratification is another type of demon that really affects so many of us in our lives. It affects all of us. It's a demon that I fight every single day. Do I eat a salad, or do I put my hand in that bag of chips? And my wife will tell you right now, I got a bag of chips next to the bed. So some of these demons don't ever really go away. It's a daily, daily fight. So literally, sometimes that inability to focus on the long term, to have that higher level of consciousness required for you to focus on the long term, to me, that's a demon. That's another type of demon. And I know I'm saying too much, and I don't know if my wife has something to say in response to that,
I probably do.
but literally all of us we have our higher selves and we have our ghetto self. You know what I'm talking about? Like, you got the higher level of you where you're just doing everything right. You're getting up in the morning, you're handling your business, you're making plans, you're getting it done. And then you have the other side that's just lazy and don't want to focus and doesn't want to do the right things, doesn't want to even eat right, doesn't want to save, wants to spend, right? So really, this is why I actually started doing this money in the morning financial consciousness thing, because what I realized is, I said, if we wake up every morning and we commit ourselves to being our best selves, that gives us a much higher probability of success. Because remember, being the best does not always mean that you're always at your best. Like I'm pretty good at this financial thing. Some people would say that I'm one of the best, but I ain't always at my best, and neither are you. None of us are. So my goal is every morning to convince you to find the best version of you and make sure that person shows up for work every day. And that's how you're going to win. That's how you're going to succeed. That's how you're going to overcome all the demons, the cultural demons, the psychological demons, the emotional demons. That's how you're going to fight the battle. And the battle never ends, but you will win because you're built for this. Babe, did you have something else you want to say before? Because I know I said a lot. Did you have something you wanted to
Well,
end
we'll
this with?
save it for next time.
Okay, all right.
I
Well, I'm
don't
gonna
want to
say
get into a loop with you.
all right. Well, I hope that you will give Dr. Alicia a digital round of applause, digital thank you. I know she's my wife, but I'm sorry. I'd like to give my wife props
Thinking
for how hard
about.
she works. She elevates me because she's super disciplined. She's in that. She got me to join the 5 a.m. club, and we get up every morning and go work out, and I'm inspired by her work ethic. And I always tell people, some of these sisters out here just kicking butt, taking names, And so you're a wonderful ally in this game of life. So thank you very much for joining me, babe. I really appreciate your time. And also her website, one more time, is coachingwithdralicia.com. And so if you want to see what she does as a therapist, feel free to go there. And or if you want to get some free material from her, you can actually just text the word love to the number 87948, and there's some stuff that we can send you out that way as well. All right, so have a good day, everybody. I'll see you all tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Eastern. Every single day, 7 days a week, we do money awareness, financial consciousness training each morning. So make sure you're on the text list. To get on the text list, text the word morning. Hey, what's going on, guys? What's going on? I hope you guys are having a wonderful day. Welcome to drboycetv.com, the home for intelligent Black people. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. Hold on. Hey, what's going on, everybody? I hope you guys are doing well. Welcome to drboycetv.com, the home for intelligent Black people. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins, and I want to say hello to everybody as you come in. Today, I want to talk a little bit about something that I put up on Twitter earlier that involved stallions and glorrillas, and basically kind of talking about the image of the Black female in hip hop and whether or not we are getting to the point where we are sort of allowing or even contributing to certain racial stereotypes that are ultimately unhealthy for the community, unhealthy for the Black family, and really add to the racism that we complain about. And so, so do me a favor, hit that thumbs up button, thumbs up, share. Make sure you subscribe. We're going to get started on drboycetv.com right now.
Here we are, clan the isms, cataclysm, great. Our people out here struggling, trying to make it in this state. Everybody out here doing it, but we the ones too late. Now family, we the ones who gotta delegate. Get that money in the power, never be fake. Stick to cosign for 3. What did he say? Create jobs, support our own. Educate the same and buy back your home. Got 3 degrees, triple 10. 3 PhDs, now we on the CNN. DBTV, let's talk about negligence. Ignorance is bliss, but we can turn it to intelligence. Believe none of what you hear, half of what you see. Let's break it down here on Dr. Boyce TV. Here we are.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to drboycetv.com, the home for intelligent Black people. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins, and I hope everybody's doing well. I hope that you're having a great night. Sometimes on Saturday night or Friday night, I will just go live and I will talk about some of the more interesting things that I see in the Black community. You guys know my background is I'm a finance professor, but also I love to talk about things that relate to economics. This is something that I love to do, and I love to pick topics. That's a fun challenge for me, is to find a topic that you think has nothing to do with economics and to show you that it's always about the money. Now, do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe, shout out what city you're from, put a B1 in the chat, B1 if you're Black first. Black first means we put our community at the top of the priority list. I want to say hello to my name is Corey and DDS, brother. Thank you for watching the chat. I appreciate you. Let's see. Kashif says, love this guy. You are greatly appreciated. Dot man, you are greatly appreciated too. Thank you so much. Trey J, Phil X, good to see everybody. And feel free to put the name of your city and the name of your business. Yoshika, the wonderful Yoshika Garner. I love seeing your name in the chat too. It boosts me up with confidence, girl. All right, so here we go. Let's jump into this conversation. I'm gonna jump right into it. I had a little bit of a debate on Twitter. My Twitter is Dr. Boyce Watkins 1, Dr. Boyce Watkins and the number 1. And I hope that if you have a Twitter, you will follow me on Twitter so that we can participate in these conversations, because I think they need to be had. So here was the conversation we had today. This had to do with a question I asked. I just asked the question, and of course it drew a reaction. I knew that it would, and it was about rappers. It was kind of about this idea that I can't help it, but I see these rappers, 2 beautiful women. One is called Megan Thee Stallion, and the other one's called Glorilla. And I thought about, well, what is a stallion and what is a gorilla? A gorilla is a big, brutish, hairy, hyper strong animal. And a stallion is actually, in case y'all don't know, how many of y'all knew this? Give me a yes or no if you knew that a stallion is an adult male uncastrated horse. Did y'all know that? How many of y'all knew that? How many of y'all know that a stallion is an adult male uncastrated horse? Did y'all know that? And so it's not just a horse, which that's bad enough. A horse is a horse, of course, right? It's not just that it's a horse. It's that it's an adult male uncastrated horse. That means it's big, strong, masculine, And also it is hypersexual. It wants to, right? That's what an adult male horse does. So it's not just a male horse, Sarah. It's an adult male uncastrated horse. So apparently from the definition I've seen, and maybe I'm wrong, tell me where I'm wrong, but if you are castrated, you're no longer a stallion, right? Stallions, if you think about Rocky Balboa, he was called the stallion because the stallion was like, you know, the alpha male. So I wanted to dig down this rabbit hole, and I knew that my comments were going to offend some people. And because there are people who, unfortunately, we will worship anything that white people put on TV. We will look up to anything, no matter how toxic, no matter how unhealthy it is, no matter how embarrassing or how bad the racial stereotype is, no matter how insulting it is to our people or to our women. We just love it anyway because of money. It's all about money and fame. Right. So when people have money and we say, OK, white folks paid them money to do this, it must be good. And this is a problem that we have. This is a problem that it's my job to kind of bring up as a finance guy, that all money ain't good money. Making money to embarrass yourself or embarrass your community ain't good money. Now, this is no disrespect to these rappers. They're very, very talented. I listen to their music. I think it's fine. There's no problem in terms of the talent level. But I think that you really want to process this because you're working against yourself in so many ways. Now, let me start with a simple question. I'm going to ask y'all a simple question. Give me a yes or no. How many of you dislike racism? Give me a yes in the chat if you dislike racism. Give me a yes in the chat if you dislike racial stereotypes. How many of you dislike racial stereotypes? Give me a yes in the chat if racial stereotypes bother you, if you don't think that they're fair, if you don't like it when white folks do that to you. You know, you go in as a black woman and they think that you automatically know how to twerk. How many of you think that that's a terrible thing? Or you go in as a black woman, everybody assumes that you're strong. You a strong black woman. I'm a strong. Come over here, no. I'm a strong black woman. I'm a bend you over, boy. I'm a whoop your ass, oh no. Right? How many of y'all are a little offended by that? Anybody offended by this whole idea that black women are just, you know, kind of these hypersexualized brutes? You know, that are going to bend you over and take your booty like Diddy allegedly did, right? Does anybody kind of, you know, have a problem with that? I do. Maybe you are okay with that. Maybe that's comfortable for you. Maybe you enjoy this, in which case we should probably talk. I don't enjoy these things because the black women I know don't necessarily need to carry around all that weight. In fact, with my wife, if I see her carrying something heavy up the steps, I say, look, I know you're strong, but I'm stronger. I know you are capable, but in this regard, I, as the man, feel that it is important for me to allow you to feel your softer side. I want you to get a chance to sit back and just know, babe, I got this. I got the suitcase. And she lets me do it. But it's hard though. It's hard because the world has kind of abandoned the black woman. That not all black women are able to have someone they can depend on. And that's why I challenge all black men who care about black women to really assert yourself in terms of making sure that you're there. Make sure you're present, you're emotionally strong, you're able to be that consistent, solid rock for the black women that you care about. Give me a yes in the chat if you are a man, if you understand that this is important. I need y'all to really internalize this, okay? So here's what I knew was going to occur. I knew that by sort of saying something that questions the status quo, I knew that I would have people that would come in and not necessarily be able to debate me on the issue. I get it. Maybe I'm intimidating for some people, but they don't debate you. What they do is they'll say something mean to you. They like one guy came in and said, he said that was a granddad comment. And I said, yeah, I am 52 and I am a granddad, but maybe your granddaddy knew something. Maybe your granddaddy wasn't a dumbass. Maybe your granddaddy actually knows a couple of things that you need to listen to. Maybe if you listen to your granddaddy more, you wouldn't be in the situation that you're in. I don't know. I'm not judging. I'm just saying that maybe we need to listen to our granddaddies and grandmothers. And I said, look, if you don't hold it against me that I am a grandfather, then I won't hold it against you that you're 25 years old who don't know shit. How about that? How about this? You don't hold it against me that I'm a 52-year-old man who knows a couple things, and I won't hold it against you that you are 29 years old with horrible credit, or that you or with no money in the bank, where you're not happy with your woman and your life ain't right. I'm not making fun of you. I'm saying that maybe part of the reason that you're struggling is because you don't listen to your granddaddy. Okay, so here's the deal. I think that in these conversations, one of the things we got to stop doing is making them into ignorant discussions. And what do I mean by that? An ignorant discussion is where we don't actually debate. We don't sort of express free ideas. We don't go back and forth and kind of lay out our point of view. We just come back with these simple-minded, teenager-like responses because you got a lot of 40-year-old teenagers on the internet. You know, you be hating, dog. You be hating. Is that all you got? Come on, man. You need to give me more than that. My brain needs something to chew on. And you be hating. That's a three-word response that indicates to me that you don't have you don't have a legitimate reply, that you can't defend your position. That makes me not respect you. Now I want to respect you, which means that if you come to me and you say, hey doc, I think that another way to look at it is like this, that's fine. So the reason that this rapper calls herself a stallion is because she means this and this and this. And here's the thing. Here's what you got to deal with. Here's what you got to understand. The racism that we complain about so much, a lot of it is really a two-way street. It really is. Racism is it's a two-person tango. A lot of y'all think racism is simply in the hands of white people. That if white people simply change their behavior, then everything will get better. Or if white folks just stop being mean to us, then everything will get better. Well, what I'm saying to you is that sometimes maybe you're mean to yourself. Sometimes because of money, there's that word money. You guys know I'm a financial scientist. So when I see money impeding on your ability to be a free thinking, liberated Black person, I jump in. That's when I go I have to come in and say, wait, what are you talking about, man? So what I'm saying to you is that when you fight against those, like the Frances Cress Welsings and the others who have been consistent. Let's give a shout out to Frances Cress Welsing. Let's bring her into the room. Give me a yes if you know who Frances Cress Welsing is. Do you know who Frances Cress Welsing is? She's a woman who's far greater than me. She's an amazing woman. She's not the kind of woman you're ever going to see celebrated by the music industry. Frances Cress Welsing is not the kind of woman that you're ever going to see celebrated by corporate America. Frances Cress Welsing is not the kind of woman you're ever going to see celebrated at major, even HBCUs. Howard University fired this woman. Why? Well, why would you fire a woman who wanted Black people to have dignity and to be dignified? Well, a lot of it's because they weren't ready for what she had to say. And she's the kind of person who spoke consistently on these issues. I ain't the first one. And so I appreciate y'all giving me credit for speaking on this issue. But just know I am not the alpha of this conversation. I'm not the omega. I'm none of this. I'm not the first. I'm not the last. I'm somewhere in the middle. I'm just one of a lineage of people who have said, wait a minute, just because white folks is putting money behind it, don't make it right. Just because they got some Negro on stage don't mean that's a successful Black person. Just because that person was on your favorite TV show, that does not mean that what they're doing is okay. And so really, if you dig into this, here's what I'm going to show you. I'm going to lay out some pieces to this conversation that I hope you will consider so that you'll just kind of understand that everything that glitters ain't gold. And just because it's twerking, that don't mean it's working. Just because it's twerking don't mean it's working. So let's start here. But before I do that, do me a favor. Please hit the thumbs up button. Thumbs up, share, subscribe. You're watching drboycetv.com, the home for intelligent Black people. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. This podcast is on Spotify, and I have a few podcasts on Spotify. I actually do a daily update on the stock market. So if you look up Dr. Boyce Daily Stock Market, you'll find that. Also, I have another one called the Dr. Boyce Breakdown. So feel free to go to Spotify, and you can find my name. And also, my website is BoyceWatkins.com. So if you want to look at some of the stuff that I have in my book, The 10 Commandments of Black Economic Power, you can go to BoyceWatkins.com. Okay, so we were talking about Megan Thee Stallion and Glorilla in particular, but not because I want to pick on these two rappers, right? What we really want to talk about is hip-hop and the continuous stereotyping of Black women and where these stereotypes may come from. So when you see imagery of women that are in a position where they are forced to be masculine and hypersexualized, the thing that you have to understand is that this is a phenomenon that is particularly preserved for Black women. Now, let's go through some of this. I'd like to bring my wife in on the conversation at some point as well, because she has done some extensive work on the stereotypes of Black females that make it hard for all Black women. So here's a short list of some of the stereotypes they have of Black women. First, there's the angry Black woman. This is a stereotype that portrays Black women as naturally aggressive, angry, and confrontational, disregarding their legitimate emotions and concerns. There's the image of the strong Black woman, the stallion. I'm a strong Black woman. I'm a strong Black. Come over here, boy. I'm a strong Black woman. There's that stereotype that Black women are super strong, that Black women don't feel pain, that Black women are just that they can lift tall buildings in a single bound. there is also the stereotype of Black women as being hypersexual. They call it the horse stereotype. And so this is the stereotype that Black women are definitely, that they're down to sleep with whoever. If you got $10 in a bag of Cheetos, she gonna give you access to the good stuff. And this is another stereotype that we have to confront and deal with as Black people. This is one that we claim that we're against. Now I'm going to ask y'all a quick question as we go forward. Give me a yes if you agree that these stereotypes are bad. Give me a yes if you agree that it's wrong to have a stereotype that Black women are angry. Put a yes in the chat. Give me a yes if you agree that it's wrong to have a stereotype that Black women are hyper masculine, that they're super resilient and endure limitless hardship without support, often leading to the emotional and physical needs being overlooked. Yeah, how many of y'all think that that's a good stereotype, or that that's a bad stereotype? Give me a yes if you think it's bad. Yes means bad. All right, and then give me a yes if you think that the hypersexuality stereotype that Black women are twerking and licking and chewing on any body part that you want, and no matter what you offer them, and ready to just drop it like it's hot, all this other stuff. How many of y'all think that is not that is a problem? Or am I the only one? And does that make me old-fashioned, that I'm looking at this with some sort of concern? Does that mean that I should be ignored because they're paying you money to degrade your community and embarrass yourself this way? Does that make me old-fashioned? If that does make me old-fashioned, then screw you. Because I'll tell you what, maybe I am old-fashioned. Maybe I do remember a time where there was work to try to protect our women. Maybe I think maybe that makes me old-fashioned to kind of think, gosh, man, why y'all just acting like our women are just these big muscular hoes? Like that's what we kind of get, right? You're like hypersexual, but you're also like this big brute that can whoop anybody's ass. What else? There's another stereotype. Another stereotype is the welfare queen. This was something that was heavily leaned on during the Reagan administration. They put an image of a black woman getting welfare, and everybody thought Black women were taking all the welfare money. There's the image of the gold digger. And then there's another one, the image of the mammy. And the mammy image is more of an Aunt Jemima-ish kind of image. It's like, okay, I be birthing these babies, and I be out here just, taking care of the youngins, and I be breastfeeding your chillums, that kind of thing, right? And actually what a lot of people would say is that Oprah Winfrey made $1 billion fulfilling the mammy stereotype. And that's just a reality, that Oprah was kind of seen as everybody's mama. And then you have movies like The Help. If you remember The Help, did anybody give me a yes if you remember that movie, The Help? Did you see The Help in terms of like what that looked like? And that was two Black women who played maids, and they were serving white females, and that was kind of the whole premise of the movie, right? And you have Driving Miss Daisy and movies like that, right? So there's an image of the Black woman as kind of the ultimate mammy, the mommy substitute, and these are images that can be rode to the tune of billions of dollars. One of the things that's interesting about money, and you guys know I'm all about money. I talk about money every single day. In fact, we do financial awareness training every single morning at 10 a.m. That's a free class for anybody that thinks that you have to pay money to be in the Black Business School. You do not have to pay money. This is a 100% free class. And in financial awareness training, one of the things that I try to do is to help you understand how money moves your society, how money shapes your life, and to be conscious of money, to understand the difference between good money and bad money, to understand where the money's at so you can get it, to help you see the money. If you can't see the money, you'll never be the money. And so really, when you look at these stereotypes, one of the most dangerous things about these stereotypes that I think as Black people we have to understand is that these stereotypes are really harmful for all of us. These stereotypes are harmful for the rest of us, but profitable for those who are willing to fulfill those stereotypes. If you get in front of that audience of non-Black people, and you behave in the way that they expect you to behave, then they are going to pay you well for that. And if you make the mistake of believing that because you're being paid well, that means that what you're doing is working, that what you're doing is good, then you're going to be contributing to the demise and the embarrassment of your own community. Do you understand that? Give me a yes if you follow that argument, that money is a deceiver. Money is not evil, but money can be evil. Money is very powerful. Money can incentivize you to do things that you would not normally do. Money can put you in a situation where you embarrass your whole family, but and you go full throttle with it because you think you're winning. Megan Thee Stallion thinks that she's a successful Black woman, and I'm happy for her. I'm happy she was quote unquote successful, but she also got shot in the foot by her boyfriend. Like that. That's not, to me, that's not success. That's not a good life. She's probably traumatized and terrorized and scared half to death, and I don't blame her. It's very, very sad to me to see these things. Glorilla, sure, you're on stage, but look at what you have to do to get up there. You can't do what the white females do. You can't go up like Adele and just sing and show your talent. You can't go up and do what that white lady, what's the girl's name who made Taylor Swift? You can't do a Taylor Swift. They would never let you go and do what Taylor Swift does. You got to go twerk. You got to stick your tongue out. You got to tell everybody about your sex life. You have to go be above and beyond in this, what I would define as a type of minstrel show that we are pushed to pursue, that Lizzo participates in full throttle. Lizzo's interesting. Lizzo's special. Let me tell you why Lizzo is special. I'm going to give you at least 3 reasons why Lizzo is a very special woman. Let me break this down. I'm not even being sarcastic here, but maybe I am. Okay, let me just stop lying about that. Lizzo is special because Lizzo fulfills multiple stereotypes at the same time. That's amazing. I really am impressed that Lizzo is able to fulfill multiple stereotypes at once. Lizzo fulfills the mammy stereotype because she's the big Black woman who all the white girls love. They always love that big, loving Black mammy type. She fulfills the hypersexual stereotype. Every time you see Lizzo, she's always twerking. She's always doing something sexual. And it's very unfortunate because it's getting her sued. Did anybody see that? How many of y'all, give me a yes or no if you saw Lizzo's big lawsuit? Did y'all see that lawsuit? Lizzo's being sued for a lot of money because apparently they pay her to pursue these insane shenanigans. And the bigger of a clown, the bigger of a buffoon that she is, the more money she makes. But the problem is that you can't do those things in a workplace. When you read that lawsuit, it's really disturbing. They talked about women on the job. Imagine going to work and your boss tells you to go and push a banana out of your hootie hoo. Like literally, she literally, allegedly, this is what they were kind of saying that she was doing, was they said that she was telling her employees to spit a banana out of their private part and all kinds of other stuff, right? So this is not something that you would expect on the job. This is something that you probably could take to HR. How many of you got a job? How many of you, if you went to work at Walmart or Google or Target or wherever you might work, or UPS, how many of you would go to HR if your boss said, I'm going to give you a raise if you stick this peanut into your coochie cooch, right? A lot of you would probably do that, right? So this is what Lizzo's dealing with, and this is quite predictable. It's unfortunate because it reminds me a little bit of what's happening with Diddy. The reason it reminds me of Diddy is because what happens in this industry, by the way, this industry is not owned by Black people. Y'all do understand hip hop is not owned and run by people that look like us. Do y'all know that? How many of y'all know that? How many of y'all know that hip hop is this industry where we are the props? Hip hop is an industry where we are the commodities. Hip hop is an industry where we are not the owners of anything. The owners are people that look like that. They're people that, and in fact, there's an article here I'm looking at in the LA Times, and they said that top music industry executives are still overwhelmingly white and male, according to a report at USC. So according to this report at USC, the hip-hop music industry is run by a lot of white males. And it says here, after a year of public displays of introspection concerning diversity and inclusivity in the entertainment industry, a new study from USC tracking the race and gender of top executives in the music business shows how much work is yet to be done. The study from USC's Annenberg Inclusion Initiative, released Tuesday morning, spells out just how stratified the music industry remains in its executive and professional ranks. This is in stark contrast to the popular music's leading streaming and airplay charts, which are regularly topped by Black and female artists. The study surveyed a broad range of 4,060 executives at 119 music groups, record labels, music publishers, live promoters, radio companies, streaming services, and other major and independent music firms. It found that of the top executives at 70 leading music companies, 86% were men, 86% were white. Did y'all hear that? Let me absorb it. Give me a yes. Sometimes I get excited. When stuff gets me going, I talk really fast. How many of you are concerned by this? Process this. These are the people that are running the industry. Give me a yes if you agree with this statement, that while they're telling our women to call themselves gorillas and horses, right? Remember, a gorilla is a big, hairy, brutish, super strong animal. And a stallion is an uncastrated adult male horse. So while they got Black women running around here, looking like animals or calling themselves animals, do you think that they're doing this to their children? What do y'all think? Do you think that they are putting their girls, their daughters out here, having them look crazy like that? You say, baby, you know you ain't nothing but a big old glorilla. You an angry woman. You a mammy. We want you to be the ultimate hoe. We want you to be the gold digger and the welfare queen. We want you to fulfill every negative stereotype there is, and we want you to embarrass our community. Do you think that they're doing that with their kids? Because I'm going to answer. I'm going to say the answer is no, and the reason the answer is no is because I want y'all to give me a yes or no. Give me a yes or no. Can you name the white female version of Lizzo? Can you name one single white female? There's more white. Now, pay attention now. There's more white females in America than there are black people. Do we agree on that? So if there are more white females than black females, then you would expect that there would be 10 or 20 Lizzos. If the ratio is about 8-1, white to black, you would expect there to be 8 Lizzos for every white Lizzos for every one black Lizzo. So I'm not asking you to give me 8. I'm asking you, give me one. Just give me one white female who is just as famous as Lizzo, who is obese, shows up to Laker games with a booty out, wearing a thong, and twerks in public at every chance she gets. I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna do the Jeopardy countdown and wait for a moment and allow you to tell me. I'm gonna give you time to think about it. Tell me one person who is the white female Lizzo. Give me a yes or no. Can you think of anybody? Okay, so you can't think of anybody. All right, so let's do another test then, because I clearly must be out of my mind. I mean, on my Twitter, somebody told me I was out of touch and I was a grandpa, and I don't know what I'm talking about, because what they do is they get mad. They'll be like, "You're a so-called doctor, and you think you're better than everybody else. You're a so-called doctor, and yet you're stupid." I'm like, no, I'm not a so-called doctor. I'm not a medical doctor, but I'm a PhD doctor. And my PhD, you can look it up. It's from The Ohio State University. So no, I'm not a so-called PhD. I'm an actual PhD. So just so you know, and I'm not a financial influencer. I'm a finance professor. There's a difference. Financial influencers just talk a lot. I do talk a lot, but also I've got 20 years of I got my PhD 20 years ago. So please shut up. Just shut up and listen. All right. So let me ask y'all this. Can y'all name who is the white female version of Glorilla? Glorilla. Let's do Glorilla and Megan at the same time. So can you, and also I want you to give me a yes or no. Is there a single picture anywhere on the internet of Taylor Swift doing a pose like that? Give me a yes or no. I mean, seriously, there's got to be one, right? Because apparently the racism ain't got nothing to do with it. I'm making things up. I'm being delusional. So can you think of one image of Taylor Swift? This is Megan Thee Stallion. She made a guest appearance on a Marvel show. Now, and she was teaching the She-Hulk how to twerk. Is there, I mean, can you name, like, who's the white female version of Megan Thee Stallion? Who's the white female that has a name that is similar to an adult uncastrated male horse, that twerks at every available opportunity, constantly takes pictures with her tongue out? Who is the white female Cardi B? There's her album cover. What's it called? Gangsta Bitch Music Volume 1. Is that the name of the? Yeah, and she's sitting there. She got her legs spread wide open, and she's sucking on a liquor bottle. Would you say that's just a glowing image of the black female? Like, would you say that this? And again, remember, the people that are running the industry, you ain't seeing no pictures of their daughters out here like this. They're like, no, we don't do that sort of thing. That's for the Negroes. they like this sort of thing. They like to be seen this way. And I want you to just kind of think about this. I want you to just really kind of process this. This is what they're doing to the image of the black woman. And then I got to go on Twitter, and first people that argue with me are not even the white folks. Even the white folks look at it and they're like, what the hell are y'all doing? There's lots of non-black people who look at this and say, why would you let people misrepresent your community this way? And I'm going to tell you why it happens. It happens because many of us are financially desperate. That's what it's just financial desperation. That's what that is. When you're economically desperate, you will do anything in order to get money. And so one of the things that I think allows people like myself to make a contribution is that I like to train you on how to make sure that your children understand wealth and money so they don't have to embarrass themselves to get money. You know, I don't want my girls out there doing stuff like that just so they can get a nickel. I don't want them telling struggle stories, and this is really where it's all of our responsibility, right? It's, you know, it's not me, you know, beating up on the black women who do these things. It's more so all of us talking about just what's required for us to fix this. It's me challenging even black men to say, come on, man, you know, we got to stand up and defend ourselves and defend our women. We can't have them out here desperate like this. And in fact, I'm gonna read some stats to you that will help you to connect the dots in terms of the imagery of the black female in hip hop and what's going on with the black female in society. But before I do that, do me a favor. If you could, please hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. You're watching drboycetv.com, the home for intelligent black people. As you guys may or may not know, every single morning I have a free class. It is called Economic Awareness Training, EAT. And so what I do is I teach you how to eat, because I want you to eat. I want you to eat, and I want you to eat healthy food. That means I want you to make your money in a way that is good. I don't want you to have to do desperate things for money. I'm a finance PhD. That's my profession. And so if you'd like to join us, the class is 100% free. You can text the word morning to 87948. Text morning to 87948. You can also go to drboyceelevate.com if you live out of the country. If you live out of the country, go to drboyceelevate.com. If you're in the country, just text the word morning to 87948. I'll send you an invitation to our economic awareness training, because this is what's going on, right? What's going on, the reason that we are embarrassing ourselves in this way, and the reason that we're cheering this on is because we don't always know exactly what's really happening. I'm going to tell you like this. When we talk about economic awareness and financial consciousness, I'm going to tell you who's very much economically aware. The people who promote these images are extremely economically conscious. Cardi B is economically conscious in her own way, in one particular sense. For a Cardi B, if you notice, most of her lyrics, most of her music is about money. Like, you know, in fact, I think she has a whole song about money. So as a finance professor, of course, that perks my ears up. When you're rapping about money, it's like, okay, you love money, you want money, you want to get money. So my question then becomes, how are you getting your money? Because all money ain't good money. So what Cardi B does, unfortunately, and this is not her fault, because I think she's actually a smart lady. I respect talented lyricists, and I consider her to be a talented lyricist. You know, they have a level of intelligence, and you actually see, believe it or not, just to give her credit, Cardi B's really evolving. If you notice, she allowed them to use her in the last presidential election, where I guess Biden did an interview with her and she endorsed him. Well, this time around, she said she's not voting for anybody, and that shows me that she spent time processing and thinking about what she wants to do politically and how she wants to use her power. So I have nothing against her, but if you listen to her songs and listen to the lyrics carefully, and this is something that I do, you know, when I was on the Breakfast Club 4 times, I didn't go in there blind. I don't go in not knowing about the culture that I'm speaking about. A lot of people that think that because I'm 52, I don't know what's happening in hip hop. You're silly. I've followed hip hop for 30 something years, so I know everything that's happening in the space for the most part. I follow these things very closely. The difference is, though, that I process it very carefully. I listen to the lyrics. I listen to the messages, because remember, these are the messages that are being given to our little girls. And whether you like it or not, with great power comes great responsibility. Whether you like it or not, these images do matter. Whether you like it or not, the way we portray the black woman around the world is the way people are going to view the black woman around the world. Am I right or am I right? Do you agree? What do you think? If you're portraying images of the black female in a way that is highly inappropriate, then people are going to meet black women and assume that this is who you are. This is the stereotype that you fit. And so with this pursuit of money, because that's all, it's all about money. That's why I'm talking about it as a finance professor, because this is all about money. When you're pursuing money in this way, in this reckless, irresponsible way, it's a little bit of a contradiction for you in one hand to say, I hate racial stereotypes. It's, you know, and then to say, I don't want to be mistreated, or to say, I don't want you to see me as a stereotype. But yet at the same time, you're making all this money promoting the stereotype. Do you follow what I'm saying? I hope you let me know if you're following what I'm saying, because sometimes I don't want to get too deep on people, but it's true. So if you think about the images of the black woman, let's go through them really quickly. The stereotypes. You've got the angry black woman, you know, the black woman who's just pissed off at everybody and everything all the time, who is this unlovable creature that nobody wants to get close to because she's angry, and that's one stereotype. You've got the the mammy stereotype. That would be the Oprah Winfrey. That's the one who be birthing all the babies and breastfeeding all the kids and all that. You've got the hypersexualized whore stereotype, which is that Black women are just all about breeding with no accountability. They just want to be babies' mamas, and that's it. And then you have the gold digger and the gold digger / welfare queen stereotype, right? All she wants you for is your money, and all she wants to do is pick up a welfare check so she can take care of her babies all by herself. Now, let me throw in one thing that does happen with this, and this is unfortunate, is that when you have these images of the Black female that are sort of perpetuated through society, I think that it does give this horrible, highly inaccurate image of the Black woman as being this unlovable, unwanted creature. That, you know, that okay, she's not really a person. She is a stallion and a glorilla. And gorillas, nobody wants to love a gorilla. Like if you look at a stallion is an adult castrated, an adult uncastrated male horse, a big, strong male horse that wants to have sex with everything, and a big hairy gorilla. Nobody wants to cuddle up with that big, hairy ass, muscular gorilla, which is the connection I made when you call yourself Glorilla. It's like, why would you want to be a gorilla? I don't get that. And then you have the stallion. Nobody cuddles up with a stallion because the stallion is going to screw you. That's what stallions do, right? So ultimately, these stereotypes all connect, and these stereotypes are promoted by people who run the music industry who do not look like us. And so to me, the enemy is not the Lizzos. Lizzo got really mad at me, and Lizzo made comments and started getting into fights with me. But the thing is, I'm conscious of these things because I'm a little bit older than her. I understand the game. The game is that people like this pit people like me against the Lizzos of the world. So when I come along and say, come on, sweetheart, you're beautiful, you're talented, you can play the flute, why you got to twerk while you're doing it? Why you got to simulate sucking a man's penis in order to get attention? Why do you have to humiliate yourself that way? Why are you showing up at a Lakers game with your booty out where little children got to go sit on these seats with your juices all over the seats? Like, why do you have to do all that? Why the clown show? Why the circus? When I say these things, then what they do is these people get in her ear and they say, oh, there goes the patriarchy. There goes. They use one stereotype against the other. They pit the Black man and the Black woman against each other. Give me a yes if you agree. They do that. They'll come in and because they control the media. They don't just control the music industry. Pay attention now. This is all financial. This is a financial lesson you will never forget. This is a financial class right now that we're having. I hope you understand how this is a financial conversation. It is their control of wealth and money that allows them to do this. So what they'll do is they'll use media. So when Lizzo got mad because I basically said, I don't understand why this lady's got to be out here humiliating herself in this way. So what the media then did, pay attention now, this is a true fact. They then perpetuated this image all throughout media, through the entire Associated Press. Thousands of publications pretty much wrote up the article as Lizzo tells off sexist Black male professor, or they didn't say Black male professor, but she tells off sexist patriarch professor when he says blah, 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 right? So they're pitting me against her when I'm the one who's protecting you from all the nonsense. I'm the one who's warning you that, look, if you keep acting like this, you're going to get sued, girl. They're going to take everything you got. They're going to do a Diddy and a Bill Cosby on you. They pit us against each other when I'm the one who says, no, come on, you're better than that. They pit us against each other when I say, I know they're telling you to go twerk and sexualize yourself, but I think that you can do more than that. I think you can sing. You should be able to do what Adele does. Adele ain't got to twerk. Adele ain't out here putting stuff in her mouth. Adele ain't out here sticking her tongue out. Adele just shows up and sings. That white lady, Taylor Swift, she ain't not one single thing that Lizzo has done on stage that Taylor Swift has also done. Taylor Swift does not have to do those things. Taylor Swift can go and just be a human being and make $1 billion. Now, is it wrong for me to want that? Does that make me the villain? Or are we dealing with a world where people, because they have their money and their power and they control the music industry on one hand and the media on the other? I think that what happens here, I don't think I know. They pit the Black male against the Black female. So when the Black male shows up, this is why, ladies, this is why sometimes it's hard for brothers to step up and show support and protection. It's hard because then you get people in your ear that will tell you that I'm the enemy or that we're the enemy, when really we're the ally. Really, I mean, you really think Russ Weisenberg or whoever runs the music industry label, you really think he cares about your best interest? You really think that these people are sitting around saying, golly, I really want to see strong Black families? What do y'all think? What do y'all think? Do you think these people sit around and think, and they have conspiracies at some point? They're planning something. They're conscious of something. They're thinking about something. When they have their meetings, they're talking about something. So do you think that in their meetings, I want to ask y'all this question. This is a consciousness exercise. Do you think that when they're sitting down, when Rothenstein and Heiselberg get together and have a meeting, do you think that they're sitting around saying, gosh, how do we reduce violence in Black communities? Yes or no? Do you think that when they get together, they sit and they say, gosh, we really want to make sure we really rejoin the Black family because these children really need a father in the house? Do you think that that's what's happening? Do you think that they sit and they say, gosh, Bob, I was looking at these statistics on Black wealth, Bob, and I noticed that African-American wealth has been on the decline, and that's a problem. We've got to fix that. Do you think they're thinking about that? You think they're thinking about ways to create financial security for Black people, stronger families, better neighborhoods? What do you think? Or do you think that they're sitting around saying, okay, how do we get so-and-so to twerk a little more so we can make it a little extra money? Oh, people loved it when you got on top of the table and was shaking your booty and we really we want to put you on TV so that you can be as outrageous as possible. So you can go out here and really, really, really outsell your last album, because we want to make money and we don't really give a damn what the societal implications are of your behavior. We just want that we want your stereotypes to show up to work every day so that we can profit from those stereotypes, and the negative externalities and the negative outcomes or the negative side effects of your behavior, that belongs to you. That belongs to you people. You people have to figure it out, because we're not doing that with our kids. We're not going to let our girls go out here and act like this, but we'll let your girls do it all day. I don't know if people, I know this offends people, and I know people don't want to hear this, but whatever. Hate me if you want to. I don't give a damn if you hate me. I don't care if you hate me. If you hate me, that ain't going to affect me. What the only way you can affect me is if you prove me wrong. Can you prove me wrong? Can you prove me wrong that I just made a bunch of points and I laid it out very carefully and very clearly? You can't prove me wrong. That's why you get mad. You're not used to accountability. You're not used to somebody saying all money ain't good money. You're used to a world where it's money over everything. Money over hoes. Money, I'll die for money. I'll kill for money. Money, power, respect. I get money. I get money. Get money. That's literally the mindset. And my thing is, like, it's okay to get money. I mean, shoot, I'm a financial scientist. All I've done was study money for 30 years. But at the same time, money can turn you into something that you're not supposed to be. Money can destroy you as quickly as it can build you up. And I don't know if we think about that enough. And that's one of the reasons we have so many challenges. That's why these stereotypes persist. That's why your son might get shot by the cops, because a lot of times the cops have a negative perception of Black males and they're scared of him before they meet him. Maybe that's why if you look at the stats, let's go through some quick stats, because I want to make these points really quick. If you look at unmarried rates, as of the recent data, 48% of Black women in America, adult age, are unmarried. In the 1960s, before integration, only 28% of Black women aged 25 and older had never been married. By 1980, this percentage rose to 40%. By the 2000s, it was 42%. And in the 2010s, it was 45%. And the number has continued to go up. So now it's up to 48%. So every decade in the last 50 years, the percentage of Black women that are unmarried has consistently grown. There are studies that show that this also links to things like the Biden mass incarceration epidemic. When they put so many of your men in prison, it broke down your families in twofold. One, because your men were in prison, so they can't marry you if they're locked up. But then number two, these men that are supposed to be raising your sons are not there to raise your sons, so your sons are not growing up to become men. Let me know if you're following that. I need yes confirmations to let me know that you're getting what I'm saying, because I don't want to talk too fast. I don't want you to gloss over that point. When you don't have the fathers around, when the fathers are not raising your boys, that's when you get these she-males out here. That's when you get these bearded babies out here. That's when you get these 45-year-old teenagers from. That's where they come from. They come from the fact that they never had a father that was kicking them in the ass and forcing them to be men. That's the reality. That's something, for whatever reason, people don't want to talk about it. Maybe it's politically incorrect. Maybe it's not a warm, fuzzy conversation that you're looking for, but the world ain't warm and fuzzy. And so generally speaking, the breakdown of the family is directly connected to the breakdown of the African-American male male. A lot of this occurred through hip hop. I believe, as Ice Cube has alluded to and others, that there was a conspiracy in the 80s and the 90s to take out opportunities from the black community and replace it with drugs and guns. And then they have music that glorified the drugs and guns, which caused your men to lose who they're supposed to be, to the point where they became butt naked, crazy, ignorant and crazy and violent and ridiculous in terms of the things that we celebrated. You should not be looking up to the drug dealer more than you look up to the scientist. You should not be looking up to the hustler and the thug more than you're looking up to the person who takes care of his kids. There's nothing about Russell Wilson, who's taking care of baby Future. If you know, Russell Wilson married the singer Sierra. There's nothing about Russell Wilson that on any planet would make him into some sort of a simp, except for a culture that has been bastardized to the point where you celebrate extreme amounts of black male irresponsibility. Give me a yes if you're following what I'm saying. Give me a yes if you've seen this. Give me a yes if you've noticed any of this. So effectively, what has happened is that both the black male and the black female, in terms of our self-image, our image of each other, and the image that is seen by the world, has been just chopped up and poisoned in so many ways. Poisoned through poisonous, toxic culture that is not controlled by you. It is run by people that run companies like Paramount Global, people that run Universal Music Group, people that run these other record labels. It's the people that run the media, and they will. And the reason you can't see it, pay attention now. The reason you can't see what is being done to you and what's being done to your family, done to your culture, done to your community, is because it's all covered with money. Money is this crazy thing that I meditate on it a lot in terms of understanding what it does and where it's at and how it works. Money has a way of putting perfume on a pig. You understand what I'm saying? Money is where they take a piece of crap and they put it and they tell you that it's chocolate cake. They take a big pile of doo-doo and they put icing on it and they put little candles on it, and you will bite into that big pile of doo-doo like it's a delicious chocolate cake, and because that's what somebody told you, and you'll be like, damn, this thing stinks, it's nasty, but damn, but then the person next to you says, this chocolate cake is so good, and you will literally sit there and eat a big pile of doo-doo that's chocolate cake because you see everybody else eating the doo-doo thinking that it's chocolate cake. But that doo-doo that they're serving you, that's not your birthday cake, bro. That's not your the delicious cake that you think that it is. That's really doo-doo. That's what it stinks and it's nasty because that's what it is. And so when you look at the culture, that's what they did with the culture. They call it the culture. And I keep telling you, I've been saying this for 20 years. I said, that is not our culture. That is not who we are. We ain't all growing up trying to be like Rick Ross and these really immature, baseless, weak men with no substance. Like, that's kind of what hip hop produces. The Diddies of the world. I've been saying stuff like that about the Diddies long before the world decided that Diddy was a bad guy. I said, what in the world makes you look up to this guy? He talks a lot, doesn't get anything done, really, not for the black community. He's not even really the leader of anything. He's a guy who works for these people where they sell this vodka, and you somehow think that that's some sort of model of black success. And now that model of black success is the same guy that you're vilifying now and saying, oh, he's a terrible person, isn't it? I'm like, well, why? You couldn't see that before? Oh, I get it. Oh, that's right. You were hypnotized by the money because you think all money is good money. So anyway, I'm going to make my final point on this. If you could do me a favor, please hit the thumbs up button. Thumbs up, share, subscribe. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. You're watching drboycetv.com, the home for intelligent black people. And yes, Mashawn, I am live right now. Sometimes I don't go live. Sometimes it is a recording, but right now I am live. But then again, you may be looking at the recording and then think that I'm in the recording saying that it's live, because sometimes I'll play it again. But also, if you want to get started on your economic journey in the Black Business School, we have 176,000 students worldwide. A lot of our classes are low cost or free. We are the Black wealth experts of America and the world. We're better at Black wealth than any other group in the country. We partner with scientists and thinkers from all walks of life in our community to solve our problems. And I believe this is more effective than any politician. It's more effective than any public policy. It's more effective than any entertainer. We're getting it done. So if you'd like to get started on your journey, you can go to blackmoney101.com. That's blackmoney101.com. I wrote my dissertation on the stock market. That's where wealth is being built. I can help you get started there. We have people that can do real estate. We have people that can do entrepreneurship. Whatever you want to do, we got you. We also are the only institution out here that's really aggressively educating Black children on wealth. One of the secrets to wealth that a lot of people don't know, and this keeps your kids off the stripper pole and keeps them out of the streets and out of the silly situations, is that if you teach your children about wealth, or you do things like the Black Wealth Master Plan, where you invest just $5 a day for that newborn baby, well, then what happens is that your child gets to a point where by the time they're 25 years old, they are financially secure. By the time they're 25 or 30 years old, they're not out here desperate for money. They're not signing bad record deals because they can't pay the rent. They're not out here doing things that are going to embarrass themselves because they don't have enough money. The Black Wealth Master Plan, which is 100% free, is free to the community. And I keep repeating that because I know that there are people who don't believe that we can solve this problem. There are people who don't support anything that's Black. There are people who will go along with bad ideas from the white community, but will ignore good ideas from the Black community. But I can tell you it's 100% free. It's blackwealthmasterplan.com. I made an ebook on a $5 a day investing plan. And what I explained to you is that if you do this for your newborn child, if you love your child enough to invest for them from birth, if you care enough to prepare a plan for them, then by the time your child's 25 years old, they've got a couple $100,000 in the bank. So I want you to think about this. So let's go back. Let's talk about this topic. And the URL is blackwealthmasterplan.com. So feel free to go take a look. If you go back and you look at some of this ridiculous imagery of the Black female that's being pushed throughout hip hop, I want you to ask this basic question. Do you think, give me a yes or no, do you think that Megan Thee Stallion would be, exploiting herself in this way and doing just anything to make $1 if she was financially secure, if her parents had made a plan for her? I read Megan Thee Stallion's whole bio. I read her whole life story. I don't think her daddy was around. I think her mama was a rapper. I think that there was financial struggle. She signed a bad contract. She ended up suing the record label because she said she got exploited. But the reality is that they didn't make her sign that contract. So what made her sign it? Somebody made her sign it. What made her sign it? It was financial desperation. That's what made her sign it. That's what made her do it. The devil made you do it. The devil made you do it. The devil is in the struggle. The devil is in the poverty. The devil is in the scarcity. That's where the devil's at. Y'all got to understand. And so you got rappers that are out here listening to the devil. They're being driven by the devil. And I'm not talking about this from a religious standpoint. I'm talking about when you got beautiful young women like Glorilla taking pictures like this. I mean, literally booty cheeks spread out just so I can get attention. There's very rarely a Black child that's raised with financial security who is not struggling to pay the rent, who will go to such desperate means to get attention and to get a couple dollars in their pocket. There's rarely a child with economic intelligence and financial security who will sign a record deal that basically becomes a deal with the devil, where they're stuck and they're locked into a terrible contract like Megan was, and they find themselves humiliating themselves in order to get paid. So I need y'all to kind of help me with this. Give me a quick yes, if you can, to let me know that you understand the connection here. Let me know if you understand why economics is one of the solutions to this problem. That if our children are raised in a way where they can make money the right way, they can make money in a safe way, they can make money in a way that's going to benefit them. They don't have to go sign horrible, imbalanced, exploitative, racist contracts from people who look like this. They don't have to go to these people. Because I'm going to tell you like this. Here's what I want you to understand. Pay attention now. I need y'all to listen. All the people that are in this picture, these music industry executives who are mostly non-Black, mostly male, I bet every nickel in your bank account and mine that not one of these individuals has a daughter who is out here twerking for money. Not one of these individuals in this picture tells their child that if you go sign this horrible, lopsided, exploitative deal with the devil contract with Universal, that's going to get you out the hood. Not one of them is having those conversations with their kids. But we think that is part of being Black. We think that we're supposed to be in the struggle. We think that Cardi B, I like Cardi B, actually. There's a part of me that really likes her. Sometimes she gets on my nerves, but there's a part of me that really likes her. And here's what I like about Cardi B. You know what I like about Cardi B? This is a moment of honesty. I like Cardi B because she's honest. I appreciate the honesty. Because the honesty really is where she really tells you the things that she did for money when money was dry. She talks about how she used to do Bill Cosby's on men. She used to take advantage of men's lack of sexual discipline. And so a man comes in the club, he's trying to get some. She would lure him into a hotel room, and then they would drug him, and they would take all his money and maybe take some things that money should not buy. They would take his money, and she would get a guy to come in, and if she didn't like the guy, she'd have the guy come in and do a ditty on this man. Like, that's what she used to do to get money. She talks about this, which is fascinating to me. I'm really fascinated by the fact that no one ever really thought to say, okay, she should probably be prosecuted or held accountable, or she should be canceled for this. Isn't that interesting though? Let's pause in that moment. Doesn't anybody else think that that's so strange? That, like, imagine if a guy said that. Like, imagine if Diddy was like, yeah, I went and I drugged and raped somebody and took all their money. Like, do you really think that would just be overlooked? Like, oh, well, that's okay, he was just doing what he had to do to survive? Or do you think that people would say, okay, let's do a deeper investigation? So I want to just point that out to you in terms of looking at some of the biases that do exist in our society. I find that really fascinating that people just overlooked that statement. And no one sort of said, okay, wait a minute, that's worse than what Cosby did. Nobody said that, right? But anyway, with Cardi, if you listen to her music carefully, which I've done, she raps about money. She got a whole song about money. Money, I need money. I like money, right? And how does she know to get money? Well, she basically gets money by offering her good stuff, right? I know, again, call me old fashioned. I sound, somebody on Twitter said I sound like a grandpa earlier, and that made me feel kind of bad because I am a grandpa, and I'm like, dang, what's wrong with being a grandpa? Is that bad? I thought grandpas were wise. I thought grandpas know a couple things, and I'm gonna just tell you like this. I kind of feel like when you talk about money, that there are some things that really just should not be for sale. I don't know if that makes me weird or old fashioned or makes me uppity, but I kind of get concerned when I hear a person who's rapping, who's like this role model for young Black girls, who's considered to be Black excellence, Black girl magic. And she's literally rapping and saying that if you want access to the bag, just take your clothes off and go catch STDs from random nasty ass men and unwanted pregnancy. I really kind of think that maybe as a community, we may want to reconsider that public policy if we ever want to be successful as a people, if we ever want to have the stable families we deserve. And it's very unfortunate because, again, because I am a father of daughters, when I see desperate women, unfortunately, being forced to do desperate things to make money and being told to do these things by people who control their finances, that makes me say, gosh, where's your daddy at? Because I think your daddy is supposed to protect you. So this isn't just a problem for white folks. It's not just a problem for Black women. It's a problem for all of us. It's really a problem that all of us have to think about and all of us have to address in our own way. So anyway, that's my 2 cents on the topic. I'm sure I offended somebody. I always do. If I offended you, that's good. That means that I got you to think. And I hope that we can agree that that even if we disagree, we can still be friends. So give me a yes if that's okay. If you didn't like everything I said, that's okay. Chalk it up to the fact that I'm not perfect and not everybody's going to agree. I just think that we need to have conversations about this because this ain't the way. This is not going to get us where we want to get to. Everything we talk about eliminating racism and creating freedom in the community, there's nothing free about selling our little girls' bodies, so they can make a couple dollars. There's nothing liberating about having people embarrass themselves from our community just so they can pay the rent. There's nothing good about any of this. And I really personally think that these should not be seen as models of Black success. What these are is when you see these degrading images of our people, those are examples of epic amounts of failure. That is the failure of the community to protect our girls. That is the failure of society to do what is right. That is a failure of the family, the Black family. When the family fails, that's when you get people saying, okay, I'm going to go twerk for whoever can help me pay a bill because my daddy ain't around to help me. And that's what I generally see when I see these kinds of things. Remember, Megan Thee Stallion, again, think about this, process this for a minute now. I need y'all to really be conscious on this with me. She's supposed to be living the dream. Like, this is the example of extreme success. This is what all the rappers aspire to. And I know a lot of rappers. I had a conversation with a rapper. He was very good friends with a rapper in LA named PNB Rock. And PNB Rock, do y'all remember PNB Rock? Give me a yes if you remember him. PNB Rock got shot, I think, in the middle of a Denny's or something. It was a Denny's or Roscoe's or something like that. And he was in this restaurant and somebody just somehow, I think his girlfriend tweeted his location or something from what I read. And next thing I know, this brother got shot in front of everybody. He got shot in this restaurant. And I was talking to a young rapper about this. And I said, it was Jay Ortiz. I don't think he minds me saying his name. Jay Ortiz right now is on tour with a rapper named Kevin Gates. And I talked to Jay and I said, are you sure you want to go in this industry? I said, because, most people I know who are successful as rappers in certain genres are not happy people. They're not safe. Megan Thee Stallion achieved all the success a rapper could achieve, but she got shot in the foot by her man. Like, that is traumatic as shit. That's gotta, I know I'd be traumatized. If my wife shot me in the foot and I gotta keep on going like nothing happened, oh my God. Now, again, it's controversial, right? There are people debating whether or not he did it and all that. Well, I know he went to prison for it. And then you go into, there's another rapper. She actually got discovered on my page. I'm not making this up. There's a rapper named, y'all know Young M.A.? Young M.A. is out of New York. Young M.A. literally got discovered on my Facebook page. And and I'm not making this up. She actually said this in interviews. And I'm very happy for her because she's super talented. But I feel so bad for her because if you listen to her music and you see the headlines on this poor young lady, she's going through extreme problems when it comes to her mental and physical health. And the thing is, and the reason that I believe this is happening is because you've got a lot of undiagnosed, untreated trauma in the Black community. You also have a lack of guidance for these young people. When these record labels get a hold of them and they start paying them any amount of money to do any ridiculous thing that will embarrass their family and their community, there's nobody from our community who's in their ear saying, come on, man, you don't really need to do this to make money. Or no, you don't want to completely sell your soul. So in Hollywood, people go off to Hollywood and LA and they have these big dreams about making money. There's that word money again. I keep bringing it up because in case you're wondering why a finance professor talks about these things, and because they dangle a couple of dollars in front of you, they get you to do things that lead to lifelong regret. And this is offensive to me because I think that the impression that others have of Black people is these people will do anything for $1. And I'm gonna tell you like this: every community ain't like that. Their community, these people in this picture, I bet you anything that there are some things they will not do for money. They will not abandon Israel for money, for example. There are certain things they will not do for $1. So the question I want to ask you is, what do you have in your community that is not for sale? I think that's the question I leave you with today as we finish up this conversation. What do you have in your community that nobody can buy? Or is everything for sale? Are your daughters for sale? Is her body for sale? Is your dignity for sale? Like, what do you have in your community that is not for sale? And if you can't think of that, if you can't answer that question, then you're always going to be a slave to money, because money can either liberate you or it can turn you into a slave. And this is what you're dealing with. All right. So anyway, guys, I'm going to get out of here. Hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe. This podcast is on Spotify. So if you want to listen on Spotify, just go to Spotify, look up Boyce Watkins. I do have several podcasts on Spotify. One's called the Dr. Boyce Breakdown. The other is called How to Make Money Without Working. And I'm also creating something called Dr. Boyce Daily Stock Market, where I'm going to give daily assessments of what's happening in the stock market and stuff like that for those of you that are interested in pure investing topics. And as you know, I like to talk about culture. In my book, The 10 Commandments of Black Economic Power, that I talk extensively about what a good economic culture looks like, specific steps on how you can establish that in your family, and ways that you can break generational curses financially. So if you'd like to take a look at that book, I can even autograph it and send it to you. One of my girls is going to actually mail it to you. So we do have a family business with my wife. You can just go to drboycebooks.com. That's drboycebooks.com. Also, I want to remind everybody that October 25th through the 27th, we have the All Black National Convention that's going to be held in Lombard, Illinois, which is right outside of Chicago. The All Black National Convention is the largest gathering on earth of intelligent Black people designed specifically for us to solve our problems as a community. So we welcome all families. We welcome all intelligent people from all walks of life. We welcome all the therapists and the teachers and the activists and the attorneys and the doctors and the professors and all the people that care about our community. They want to solve this problem, that are sick of this shit. They want to make us better. So if you want to join us in Chicago, or it's outside of Chicago, it's right outside Chicago. So Lombard's a really nice place. Feel free to go to and Chicago is too. I'm not saying Chicago's not, but Chicago's a little bit mixed. I ain't gonna lie. Feel free to go to allblacknationalconvention.com. allblacknationalconvention.com. That's allblacknationalconvention.com. Okay, guys, so I'm going to get out of here, and God bless you. Thank you guys for listening. Also, tomorrow morning, we are going to get up at 10 a.m. Eastern. We do this every single morning, 7 days a week, because we're serious about this. We are not playing, and this is 100% free, and it's called Economic Awareness Training. If you'd like to be invited, just text the word morning, MORNING, to the number 87948, and I will invite you to our financial awareness training. Text morning to 87948, or if you live out of the country, you can go to drboyceelevate.com. So thank you so much for listening. I appreciate y'all 100%, and I just love intelligent Black people because y'all let us have the conversations that need to be had, and I appreciate y'all putting up with my outrageousness, because I know sometimes I might say things that may sound radical, but just know that my heart's in the right place, and I want to say it in a way that's going to make our lives better. So take care. I'll talk to you soon. Love you. Peace.
Here we are, clan the isms, cataclysm great. Our people out here struggling, trying to make it in this state. Everybody out here doing it, but we the ones who late. Now family, we the ones who gotta delegate. Get that money in the power, never be fake. Stick to co-sign for 3. What did he say? Create jobs, support our own. Educate the same and buy back your home. Got 3 degrees, triple 10. 3 PhDs, now we on the CNN. DBTV, let's talk about negligence. Ignorance is bliss, but we can turn it to intelligence. Believe none of what you hear, half of what you see. Let's break it down here on Dr. Boyce TV. Here we are.